Well, the gaming news this week has been, all over the place. We had a randomly dropped Battlefield Battle Royale, and then arcraiders came out. Some not great reports from the financials of Xbox. And the main thing I want to talk about and kind of start with is just sort of my thoughts on arcraiders, and then we'll do sort of like a Q&A. We did morning coffee separate now, so you're going to want to look for that link in the chat every morning. We're trying to bring that back without it being members only where you see it and can't watch it. So make sure you check that live chat for that. We started out there this morning just kind of hanging out, and the day's already underway with Twitch in a huge lead. But I've already been kind of talking to them this morning about my thoughts on arcraiders. So I played yesterday, and then I also played last night, and I did some experimenting. And I want to try something today as well in a separate segment. We're calling it Operation Friendship, where I'm going to go into the game with you guys, and we're not allowed to shoot anybody. We're just going to try to make friends. We're going to try to foster a positive environment in the game, and we're going to see if we can't have some fun with it. We had some fun with it yesterday. If you haven't seen that gameplay yet, we did figure out why a 52-year-old man sounded like a child. There's a voice changer in the game that you can use that'll completely change your voice. It's actually really impressive as a voice changer. And so I did restart the count. This is from morning coffee. So you guys went insane. And here's the deal. My thoughts on arcraiders are pretty basic. I think they have what it takes to be the big dog in extraction. I think they have something special. They have something that many other games don't. I saw Coke Carnage quoted this morning in Morning Coffee where he said they replace stress with immersion. So you're not, just feeling stressed the entire time, but you're feeling immersed. I actually think that really gets to the heart of it. I do think the PvE elements of arcraiders are part of the reason that they've replaced stress with immersion. It is stressful. It is scary, but you're immersed. It's almost like when you're immersed in a scary game and you're terrified to go into the next room, right? Because like a zombie might get you or something. It's kind of like that. Like the actual arc, the robots themselves, the threat that they pose is genuine, and it keeps you on your toes. But what that means is that your primary concern is not like other players the entire time, which feels like many other games, like any other Battle Royale or, games that do extraction when there's other players around. It might primarily feel like they are the threat. And I think true to what they said in a TwitchCon interview, the arcraiders developers said that the main threat in this game is meant to be Arc, and they're never going to give you a quest that forces you to PvP. And so this, I think, really reinforces a lot of my commentary about the game, that I do envision them adding PvE at a later date. I'm going to have a more formalized video about that. I'm going to comb through what I think is all of the evidence pointing to that likelihood, pointing to that reality. One of my pieces of feedback yesterday was, I am still a little bit concerned about the rough edges of the game, and it feels like you're drinking from a fire hose. It's going to be very easy for people to kind of slip off the game and not want to come back. So I want to talk about that briefly right now. So yesterday, my very, very first game, I go in. I'm committed to try to talk to people, to try to make friends. I'm not really a PvP guy. It would be a little hypocritical for me to be like, hey, I don't really want to PvP, and then shoot at everybody that I see, okay? So I'm not shooting at the people, and I'm not engaging in that way. I'm trying to talk to them. And the first guy kills me. So it's like, this is my first game. I'm playing for 5 minutes, and now I'm dead. My guns are gone. My ammo's gone. That's a pretty big bummer, right? You feel pretty much almost immediately impoverished. And people are going to immediately say, use the free kits, use the free kits. I'll talk about that in just a second, because I did that last night as an experiment by myself, solo, on the couch. No mic, no talking to people. So the very next game, I go back in. I've got, I get myself put back together with, a gun and some ammo. And the very first person I find, I do the same thing. I try to talk to them. I end up pairing up with them and then proceed to play the rest of the day with them. They were very knowledgeable. They were very nice. They had played the beta, and the server slam. They played the server slam like 30 hours. They knew virtually everything about the game. I think they forgot that they turned the voice changer on, though, because I remarked about their voice and they didn't say anything. So I think they forgot that they turned that on. And we had a great time. The only time we actually lost to PvP was actually very funny. It was genuinely hysterical. I had left proximity chat on, and because I had left proximity chat on, I gave away my position. I'm just actively talking to chat and my teammates, and we died. And it was funny. We were able to kind of laugh it off. But I will say this. If that second game had gone poorly, if I had gone in and been like, hey, do you want to work together? And there's just like a voiceless, person turns. That person had a ton of experience in the game. They probably would have wiped the floor with me rather easily. If he would have turned and just shot me down where I stood, okay, and I'd have died again, well, now I'm on my back foot. I haven't even gotten to extract yet, and now I got to go do probably the free kits. I think the dilemma with that is that's going to be a very quick exit for a lot of players, which is unfortunate because they wouldn't be quitting because they don't like the game. They would be quitting because they feel like they can't get a foothold. They can't get like an on-ramp is what I was calling it yesterday. You need a good on-ramp. And I really don't think people need to obsess over this being a problem like, oh, you're going to make it easy or, oh, you're going to let people get loot too easily. The loot at the lower echelons does not matter. You're going to move up. You're going to go to the other areas. You're going to go to the other maps. You're going to be crafting high-level gear. You're going to be taking out high-level arcs. This low-level intro section of the game, they're going to have to really monitor this. Now, they could monitor the numbers, and everything I'm saying could be completely unnecessary. But I think they're going to really have to watch quit rates of players in this opener, because I experimented with the free kits last night, and they're very effective. This is why experienced players always leave comments on my videos about this, and they're like, just do the free kits. There's a stigma about the free kits because you don't know what you're going to get. You're randomly in the game, and you can like leave with less stuff. There's a handful of things that you can do that make the free kit very, very effective. You may not know this, but you can break down things while you are in the game so that you have more space in your inventory. Once you start learning what items break down into like rubber parts, metal parts, gun parts, liquid or whatever, then you can have stacks of those materials. So when you're finding like a toaster or a candle, you would just break that down. You don't need that taking up inventory space. This can make a very quick run with the free kit extremely effective. I think the issue is you're not able to see that because the way they have the game set up, they're like, here's some nice stuff. Here's some guns and some ammo. Go have fun. And if you get killed 1 or 2 games in a row, you're going to be like, well, now I don't have anything. What I think they should consider doing is your very first time going in, they should just make you use a free kit. They should just say, hey, if you're ever not wanting to risk or you're ever kind of down on your luck or running out of stuff, this is what you get when you pick a free kit. And also, they should teach you some of the basics, like, hey, you can break down those things to make more room in your inventory. I think the tutorial aspect of the game could extend a little bit further than it does. That opening tutorial is extremely basic. I mean, it basically teaches you how to do things that most people know how to do, like walk up to a chest or a car and hit a button prompt that's on the screen to open it. Like, you don't really need a tutorial about that. What you need a tutorial about is how to make space in your inventory, why free kits are actually pretty good. You might not think that because you can't see what you're getting. Again, when players lack information, they're not necessarily going to risk their time to find that information. They might be like, I just had a bad time, I'm quitting, right? So what I'm talking about doing is creating a better on-ramp for the opening of the game. Because right now, after just a handful of sessions yesterday with some boys and a random that we found in the game, and 2 or 3 last night where I just went in with the free kit, got some stuff, and got out. I didn't get in any fights. I avoided the arc. I avoided the robots, right? That's another thing they should probably encourage you to do in this tutorial is that, listen, you don't want to engage these robots if you don't have to. They sort of funnel you to do it in the tutorial. And so I remember the first time I played this, I thought, oh yeah, you're supposed to fight the bots for materials. But on a free kit, you're going to run out of ammo very quickly, and then you're really going to be in bad shape. Because the first time I played this game in the beta, me and my buddy Hilly, we ended up on our back foot. It was like we had a couple of bad games, then we ran free kits, then we ran out of ammo on the free kit, and it felt like, oh my gosh, like what are we supposed to do? Well, now I've had people in the community sort of say, do this, play this way. I've watched videos, I've learned, and so now I approach the game in a very different way, and I am busting at the seams with materials. I have more than enough. I don't feel impoverished at all, and you know what the difference between the impoverished feeling and the good feeling was? Number one, it was a good experience with another player. And number two, it was information. I got more information. I learned how to do certain things that the game did not teach me how to do. This is all valuable information to the developer. My experience could have been vastly different, and I wouldn't have wanted to play. If I would have encountered another mean player, they're not mean, but you know what I'm saying, another hostile player that just shot me and took my stuff, my desire to play the game would have been significantly subdued, and I wouldn't have learned all that valuable information from another player. Now, that's cool. That's an organic, emergent experience that I'm always going to kind of remember, but you can't really rely on that. You've got to help people get into the game. That on-ramp needs to be a little bit more, I think, user-friendly. I was literally talking to somebody this morning in a Twitch chat, and they were like, I didn't know you could do any of this stuff. I didn't know how that worked. I didn't know how this worked. And it's like, the game doesn't really explain it to you. You're sort of drinking from a fire hose. If they're worried about early player quit rates, I think they're going to have to look into some of these things. Like, should there be a more informational tutorial when you first get into the game so that some of these things don't, kick somebody out of the game? You don't want somebody sort of being bucked off the horse simply because they lack basic information. It is a very good game. It is a very enjoyable game. Now, on the subject of it's just going to turn into PvP in a couple of weeks. After playing yesterday, I just don't know if that's going to happen, because once you've got a ton of loot on you, the motivation to do PvP goes down pretty significantly. You're like, why would I bother doing that? Why would I risk all my stuff? It doesn't seem to be that worth it. Like, the odds of somebody else having, better stuff. Also, when you go into the more aspirational content, like a night raid or the maps where things are going to get harder, and they can obviously always increase the difficulty of certain things with the Arc. The Arc are just too threatening to be cavalier and to be PvP focused. I think people are really missing the forest for the trees. It's like, oh yeah, it's just going to turn to PvP. I really don't think so. I don't think this game is going to allow for that meta, because Arc is always going to be there rearing its pesky head and obliterating you if you want to be a cowboy and you want to be a PvP or a griefer. I actually think the game can always balance so that doesn't happen. And somebody in chat saying you're not going to get to endgame with PvP. The aspirational aspects of this game, the more desirable aspects of this game, are really going to make it difficult to PvP. Now, obviously, we're seeing tweets. I saw one from someone this morning. They all worked together, and then he killed everybody. I really think streamers are going to need to be aware of what they might foster in this game. And I know this tends to happen. Everyone's going to squeeze this game for content, and in a month, they're going to move on to something else, and they don't care. But creating those metas in this game could be cannibalistic. It could be counterproductive. It could work against the game's longevity and the game flourishing. It really, really could. So that's why I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to try and do this thing, Operation Friendship. We're going to go live this afternoon. It'll be a separate stream. If you want to join us for that, feel free. You got to be a member. You got to be in our Discord to kind of hop in and play. And when you join Operation Friendship, you're not allowed to be hostile to other players. You can defend yourself, obviously. If people start shooting at us, we can obviously defend ourselves. But those are my overall thoughts. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button. That's a bit of a longer open, just sort of my unfiltered, off-the-cuff thoughts about the game, how they could smooth some of those, opening stages, because I don't think everybody wants to play a game like this and treat it like a research project, like going into every menu. Like, I just didn't know you could do certain things because the game doesn't tell you. Like, you're not really prompted to do certain things. So try to get us to the first 100 likes of the day. But I need a code. Yeah, I was wondering what that was, Creature. I was like, what is going on? This one might expire. Let's see if it's not expired yet. Okay. Yeah, try to get the first 100 likes. And yes, guys, I reset the member count. So a little bit of housekeeping. And we really do need those first 100 likes, guys. Try to get us there. We only need 25 more. Make sure you're doing that ritual as you come in. A little bit of housekeeping about morning coffee, okay? And right now is the time to submit your questions. If you've got questions about arcraiders, the stuff going on with Xbox, the stuff going on with Redsec, the stuff going on with New World, there's a lot that happened this week. If you want to ask me about it, the question command is open. It will only work for members. Even though non-members can talk right now, I don't want to do members-only chat unless we absolutely have to. It'll only respond to members. And Joker Quinn, Han shot first and so did you. This is kind of the second Han shot first of the day. People are asking why I didn't reset the numbers. This is all from Morning Coffee, which we did this morning. We did Morning Coffee on Twitch and YouTube. Now, on YouTube, it was an unlisted video. The way to find Morning Coffee going forward is one of two ways. Come to the public stream, the stream that you're in right now. I had a link to Morning Coffee pinned at the top of the chat. You can just do it that way. Just make that your ritual. You come to the channel. Oh, there's Lono's show for the day, and he's going to have a link to Morning Coffee in the chat. Just use that. It's an unlisted video, okay? You can also go to the playlists, sort by recently added, go to the members-only playlist, and Morning Coffee will also be there. Now, Morning Coffee will be a members-only chat, but it'll give us the opportunity to have those chill, relaxed vibes that we used to have with Morning Coffee and, you know, just kind of start the day. And then also, it should help this public stream. It'll give us a little bit more of, you know, some velocity to throw people at it. We were starting earlier and limiting chat to members only, and it was just really, I think it was hurting, like, the energy and the velocity of the stream because we were kind of starting slow. It was like, well, there's less people here. Not everybody can chat because it's Morning Coffee. Morning Coffee vibes are supposed to be like, we're not really doing a show yet. We're just hanging out. And we lost that. I want to recapture that, especially for members who were really enjoying that way, where they would start their day and it would feel sort of like, you know, we're warming up. And I'd like to bring that back. So that's how you're going to get into Morning Coffee going forward, okay? And please don't stop submitting questions. Q&A has been so enjoyable lately, and I don't want to lose that. You're going to have to resubmit Stone Spire. I'm not sure why that didn't work. It's not on the back end here either. I was wondering. Yeah, sorry, there was no really way to inform you guys what was going on. And James NC with a 5-bomb over here on YouTube, and then a single's going to come in from Stone Spire. He might slow walk this to 450 on his own here, and then I'm going to, yes, he is. There it is, 450. I owe you guys a member. You'll notice there's a jack-o'-lantern on here. We're going to do a member, not a members. We're going to do a special edition of Gaming News tonight where my wife reacts to gaming news. We will do that tonight, but we'll be in costume because it's Halloween, and then we'll play a scary game. And then, if you guys want, and you go for stretch goal and you get community game night, we'll do arcraiders in the Discord over the weekend, and it'll be a blast. All right? So, there we go, Stone Spire. It got through that time. Thank you. There it is. First question's already submitted. Get those questions in. We'll start taking those in about an hour, or maybe less. So it said it started at 2, but daylight saving is confusing me as well. Yeah, I know there were time changes in different parts of the world. We haven't had ours yet here in the States. So, yes, that's how you're going to get to Morning Coffee, though. You're just going to come to the public stream and just click on the thing in the chat. By the way, don't run duos and arcraiders. You go against trios the entire time, says Jamal. That probably is why Lono and Hilly had so much trouble, either run solo or trio. That's good advice, and also not really surprising that they're going to have a really, really hard time finding duos. You probably are going to commonly, in matchmaking, I wouldn't be surprised if that's like a general trend within the player base, that there are larger pockets of solo players and there are larger pockets of trios. The smallest pocket is probably duos. Fuzzy says, one suggestion, take your break in Morning Coffee when you redirect it, because the stream wasn't started. I had to leave the redirect and refresh YouTube once the video was live. It's a pain. Oh, yeah, I guess we could do that, Fuzzy. I could take my break and then come back and redirect you guys. So like it's like a hot swap. And thank you guys so much for submitting those questions. We already have 3 questions in the queue. Use that question command or the Q command, !Q, and then type your question. And that's a guaranteed way to be featured in the show. Thank you for the first 100 likes, everybody. I appreciate it so much. Twitch had no issues. Yeah, Twitch is just to sit there on a waiting screen. That's right. You got redirected to an old live, didn't realize, for 15 minutes. Yeah, redirect is not the most reliable. That's why I always put like the link in chat, just to make it easier for people to get to the next thing. That's something that we do to make it easier. 364 days until I'm 40. Time be flying. There you go. Let's see here. What are you guys saying? No. Starts November 1st. Oh, yeah. Ours is November 1st, so it's like over the weekend. Yeah. So we should be able to maybe get back to some normalcy next week for you guys if you guys are feeling like the stream is starting at a weird time. That should all settle down next week when we rejoin you guys on the time change. That's hilarious. 15 minutes of Lono talking about repeatable bounties before you realize something is off. That's right. So we don't necessarily have to wait to do Q&A. I suppose let's just start pulling these up now. Stonespire says, I am really glad you enjoyed Outer Worlds 2. Will you actually go back to it and play it on your own if they patch the frame rate and performance? I think that I would. Here's something interesting about the Outer Worlds 2. It really reminded me of a time where I would play games in that way. I would kind of goof off and be an idiot, right? We actually did this with the original Outer Worlds. I did like a character called Francis Forehead, and I just acted like a buffoon in the game. And it was, and it was a really good time. I generally think that my fun that I had with the game, I'm wondering how much it was linked to the fact that I was like putting on a show and hanging out with you guys. So it'll be interesting if they patch the performance. What will I think of the game just sitting on my couch? Like, I think that will be a little bit more interesting because, I'm not going to be cutting it up and, talking trash to the characters and acting like a buffoon. I'll start to actually like try to play the game. So I would like them to patch the performance. I know there were folks that day that felt like I was overstating it. It's difficult to play games that have performance issues right now because there's a ton of games that don't. I can play arcraiders and not have a single problem. Like there's no tearing, no frame stutters, nothing. I just got done with Ghost of Yotei. 0 performance problems in that game. Death Stranding 2. 0 performance problems in that game. These are gorgeous, high-fidelity games. AC Shadows, same thing. So, yeah, I'm not going to play a game that doesn't run smooth. I think having those standards is fine. Everybody's different. I think the constant, insistence on trying to make something out of everything that a person says or does, like if they don't like something that you like, or they're like, yeah, I would rather not play this until they patch it. I'm not quite sure what the issue is. Like, if you're enjoying a game, enjoy it. If I have standards that are different than yours, so be it. I'm just not going to play a game if it's having performance issues. I think that that's fair. As much as I'm enjoying Borderlands 4 with my wife, when they didn't have the FOV slider, we knew it was coming and we waited. And then when I was having some crashes, I knew they were patching the game, and so we waited. And that's a game that I was thoroughly enjoying. So I'm very consistent in this. I am interested, though, to see how I would feel about that being on the couch and not like putting on an entertaining show and goofing around. Prisoner, you asked a question about a show like The Witcher show or whatever. I don't want questions that aren't about gaming. I know that's sort of adjacent to gaming, but we're not going to do. I don't really want to do that. And no, I'm not watching that show. I'm not watching The Witcher. And this is obviously a little bit adjacent to gaming as well. We've got one from TrueView Radio. We got to be careful. You can't talk like that's a whole other thing that like YouTube can. They're listening to the streams, and if you get too off topic, it's bad. I don't know if they've actually announced this week or if I found out about it, but what do you actually think of the Horizon Zero Dawn film adaptation? I, again, don't want to get too deep into the mire of talking, like, stuff that's not about gaming. So, no real opinion on that at all. Until we see it, until we see a trailer, or until we see production value, cinematography, casting, I don't really have anything to say. I know they're trying to make a bunch of games into that kind of entertainment. They're trying to take a bunch of PlayStation games and do that. until I see it, I don't have anything to say. It's like, yeah, I hope they do a good job. Right now, the best is Fallout. Like, if you're looking at something that was a video game turned into something, I think that's the best. That, to me, is the standard. And Season 1 of The Last of Us. After the Season 1 of The Last of Us and Fallout are like the standard. But as you can see what happened with the second season of The Last of Us, things can turn sour very quickly. Like, that second season was freaking abysmal. So, Derek says, everybody has a line that they won't put up with from every game they like. A few decades ago, maybe you loved Run and Gun, but you could still say Contra 4 sucks and I won't play it. Right. Oh, yeah. Twisted Metal's another excellent show. Yeah, those three are like the standard right now. Yeah. So, I mean, if they're going to do it, I hope they do a good job. That's pretty much all I have to say. So, questions continue to pour in. There's like 9 questions in the queue right now. I've only answered a couple. So we will continue taking your questions about the week's gaming news. The arcraiders. We'll be doing some arcraiders gameplay later. And there was also some info on Xbox. There was the Redsec thing. There was a lot of things going on. Thoughts on Yote? I loved it. It's my current game of the year. I said that on Twitter, and it made a lot of people very angry because enjoying a game, surely me saying that is for nefarious reasons. I'm a shill. I'm a pony. If you want to be entertained by the absolute misery of a bunch of angry dudes, just go to Twitter and go to my tweet. It's like 100,000 views. I mean, they're very angry that I had a good time with it. So, yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting, but it's my current game of the year. It edged out Expedition 33 primarily because of my preferences. I just like those types of games more. I loved Tsushima, so Yote to me felt like an excellent sequel. So I said that on Twitter and it made a lot of people angry. The most generic and believable statement ever. This is true. Yeah. You mean to tell me that Halo wasn't the peak of video game shows? No, I don't think anybody believes that. I mean, I would certainly hope not. That would be a concern if anybody thought that. Anyways, let's take another question here. Norin says, with Returnal having a mix of Greek lore to tell the story, do you think Saros is going to have more Middle Eastern vibe lore because the main character and that Many Hands boss? It's very likely that they're going to do something like that, but it also could just be that like they don't have a hard, rigid, mythos at all. They could grab from everything. They really, really could. I mean, I don't even know if they're gonna try to keep it in a particular lane. Sketches of Harmony, if you want to submit a question, you've got to be a member or Nightbot won't grab your question. So that's a great reason to click join and become a member. I will interact with you, but if you want your question featured, that is a perk of being a member. You do not have to be a member for me to talk to you. I don't do that. You don't have to super chat me. You don't have to be a member. But the question command is a feature for members. So if you're not going to become a member, I'll answer your question anyway. But I want to give you the opportunity. If you want to do it and have it show up on the screen like that and be featured, that is something you can do. If you don't want to, totally fair. I'll answer your question regardless. Just guys, make sure as you're pouring in, hit that like button. And this goal over here is for tonight, a Halloween special of Gaming News Tonight, where my wife reacts to gaming news. We'll be doing that in costume, and then we'll play a scary game. So if you guys manage to make that hit the 500, if you manage to get the stretch goal of 750, we'll do some arcraiders over the weekend as a community. So, yeah, so the Returnal lore and the Greek and all of that, I mean, I don't know how rigid they're going to be like with that in the next game. I don't know. They could do anything, but you may be onto something with like the multi-hands god looking like there's I always forget the name of that god. Indian god with many arms. There's a lot of them, isn't there? the multitude of arms, the significance of it. Yeah, there's actually a lot of gods, it seems like, historically that have that as their foundation. There's like Hindu deities that have it. So yeah, in Hindu cosmology, the universe operates according to a cosmic order known as the Dharma. So you could have all kinds of elements of that in the is it Shiva or Vishnu? I thought it was Vishnu. Is it Shiva? Ganesh? I think there's a bunch, isn't there? I don't think there's one. I don't necessarily think there's one. I think there's many. Like there's a handful that that have the many hands thing. All of them are Nephilim? Probably. Oh, here's a good question. Insomniac the Black says, did you see that Nintendo's patent against Pal World was rejected? Do you think this will cause an increased amount of Pokemon-like games? I believe it was rejected in... Where was it rejected? Like in Japan? I didn't actually get to look into this beyond like somebody put it in the Discord and I said good. I was like, that's good. Yeah, I think that's excellent. It was in Japan? Yeah, good. That patent was a joke. I mean, everybody that was sort of looking at it with any sort of any background in legalese, everybody was saying, if this is challenged, it won't stay. It won't stand. That's what basically everybody was saying. That anybody with even the most remotest of backgrounds in legal jargon were like, if this thing is challenged, it won't stick. It's too flimsy. There are too many games that feature the thing that they're trying to claim is unique to their game. There are games already in the market that predate their patent that have that as a function. Like capturing something and having it fight for you. Them trying to patent that, like it's already in the market. If you came to the market right now and you tried to patent the bonfire system that is in frickin' the FromSoft games, Elden Ring, right? If you tried to patent that, it wouldn't work, even if you got it granted. Let's say that it got granted, okay? It gets granted and you're like, oh, cool, they granted our patent. As soon as it's challenged, it's going to crumble because people would be like, the thing you're trying to patent predates your patent. It's in the market. Like, you can't come to the market and be like, hey, that's ours. We're going to patent that. And it's like, it's already been in the market. What are you doing? Like, I remember at the time, I said, it's really good that FromSoft never decided to patent the bonfire system the way that WB patented the Nemesis system. Like, you don't want that. Now, if you want to protect your property, like if somebody was trying to make a game with characters that looked, I mean, just like Pokemon. I mean, that was what people originally took issue with, was they felt that that was an issue with Power World. I could definitely see taking issue with that, like what's going on with the Horizon PlayStation Light of Motirum lawsuit. That's different because that's talking about brand confusion. That's talking about property confusion and also there's a lot of history there. The Light of Motirum situation is an issue of copyright where they came to PlayStation and pitched them this Horizon game. They got told no. They came back and tried to pitch it again, got told no, and then they built the dadgum game anyway. Okay? So, in light of that, I think the difficulty is a patent is, especially in the way that PlayStation did it, a patent can be anti-competitive because you don't want anybody to build a game that's doing what you're doing and better. So if you've got a game with melee-based combat and dodge rolls and, bonfires, and you're worried that somebody's going to make a better type of game like that, so you try to preemptively patent it, that's anti-competitive. You're basically saying, we don't want somebody to do a better job at this. That's not the same as somebody making a game that looks just like your game in every capacity, whether it's, the art style or the movement or the characters or the world. If you did that with any game, that company has a right to say, hey, it seems like you basically like copied our game in looks, in art style. And the reason Light of Motirum is in its own category of lawsuit is because they literally asked permission to build the game. They were told no, and then they made it anyway. Does that make sense? Like, I think people were starting to conflate and confuse those two things. They're like, yeah, well, PlayStation is just as bad as Nintendo. Listen, I'm the first to line up and criticize PlayStation if they do something stupid. If they were out here trying to patent something, like, let's say the stance system in Tsushima, let's say they were trying to patent that. I would be adamantly against that. I'd be like, no, you can't patent that. That's a mechanic in the game, right? That mechanic is in other games as well. It showed up in Rise of the Ronin. Prior to Tsushima and Rise of the Ronin, it showed up in games like Nioh. So you would be able to, number one, say it's a flimsy patent because the mechanic predates the patent itself. And secondly, you would say it kind of feels like you don't want somebody to make a better version of your game or a better version of your mechanic or what have you. Right? So I think that is different than the Light of Motirum lawsuit, because there are certain games that just have a look and they just have a vibe. You know, if somebody came out and made a game that looked almost exactly like Halo, you know, the armor was the same, you know, almost exactly the same, the guns were almost exactly the same, the world and the enemies were almost exactly the same, I think that would be grounds to say, hey, wait a minute, you're going to be causing property confusion here. That looks like it's ours and it's not. We didn't make that we didn't approve of that. So when you create a character like Master Chief and you have something that's that iconic, or you have something that's, you know, as iconic as Mario or something, I think you have a right to protect that from an intellectual property standpoint. I don't think mechanics in games are in the same category. To me, I think those are categorically different things. So, one feels like scaffolding and sort of like the bones of a game. The other is like the game, what's defining about the game, its identity, its art direction. What, you know, when you look at it, what does it look like? What does it feel like? I think that is a huge opportunity for confusion with consumers. Many people looked at Light of Motirum and thought, is that Horizon? And it's because they literally designed it to be a Horizon game. I think that's the most damning thing in that court case, is that it literally, as a game, was designed to be a Horizon game, and they pitched it to PlayStation. Like, does that make sense? Like, if you went to Nintendo and you're like, hey, we're making a Pokemon game, and they're like, yeah, we don't want you to make it, and you're like, okay, and then you come back again, and you're like, we really want to make this Pokemon game, and they're like, no, you can't make it, and then you release it anyway, that's a pretty damning paper trail, in my opinion. Colin comes in with 50 months on YouTube and gets us a little bit closer. The weekly goal is 500. You guys are very, very close. That unlocks tonight a special edition of Gaming News Tonight with my wife and I. We have her react to gaming news. We slip in fake news stories to see if she can pick out the fake news stories. We already have one submission. I believe it's from Jack Garland. And I don't know what the story is, Mama.
I don't remember.
No. She's trying to take notes so she can prepare. And then we'll do Arcraiders community game night tomorrow if you guys hit the stretch goal. So that's something that we do every week. We have extra segments that you guys unlock if with the member goals. So thank you so much, everybody who has contributed already. So yeah, I mean, those are my thoughts on the patent with Nintendo, as well as the situation with Light of Motirum. So Von Raz says, in Outer Worlds 1, for some reason, the first person or the color palette or motion really mess with my eyes. Does third person fix that in the second game? I spent almost no time in third person. I just kind of fiddled around with it. I couldn't get a feel for how well it felt or how good it looked because the performance in that new area was so bad. So everything was great in the opening of the game, and then I landed on that planet and performance took an enormous hit. So sadly, I'd like them to patch that before I really dive back in. So make sure you guys are hitting the like button as you come in. Make that part of your ritual on YouTube. That like button is super, super helpful. JC says, it's my birthday. Can we hit that 500? Guys, you know what we do for birthdays around here. Hilly likes to stoke the fires when it's somebody's birthday. He insists that we break records. Yeah, it's JC's birthday. JC's always here. Very faithful, very, very big support of the channel. So go nuts, y'all. Good to see you, JC. Happy birthday. A Halloween baby? Yeah, a Halloween baby. That's a little spooky, isn't it? You know? That must have been interesting, you know? You must have had the best birthday parties growing up. Yeah, everybody came to your birthday parties in costume, you know? When was the first time you realized that, like, you would go to a birthday party and you would wear a costume and people are like, what are you doing? And you're like, this is what we do for birthdays, isn't it? There's only one Hilly. This is true. This is true. There is only one Hilly. I'm actually going to check the forecast for tonight when we're outside. It's going to be cold. Not raining, thankfully, but it's going to be a chilly Halloween. That's for sure. Going to be a chilly one. Petrov, you're going to have to resubmit. You forgot the exclamation point. Speak of the devil, JC here with a question. Do you think EA is going to fix or back off the crazy amount of microtransactions in Redsec? So, yeah, the Redsec criticism is really interesting because I was like in their corner. I'm like, these guys, you know, could really put themselves on the map and they could be a contender. But boy, oh boy, are they getting criticized. Like, it has a really bad score on Steam. People are really unhappy that there's certain things that they have to do in Redsec. I really, really think the dilemma, anytime you're going to do that, they have a business interest. They have a vested interest in saying, we want people that purchased the base game of Battlefield, like they want you to kind of come over, and do stuff in the BR. This was modeled by Call of Duty with Warzone, was it not? Wildrobe says, oh, we had snow like 2 years in a row. Oh, that's terrible. Eugene says it's a free game. You can't really complain about microtransactions. I mean, I don't know if I agree with that, though, because there's an interesting like tension in the gaming market right now. And it's like, if a game is not free to play, people are very critical, right? Unless you win the crowd. I have made this analogy a couple times recently, and I'm just going to continue using it because I think it really, really works. In the realm of live service, you either live or you die. There's not a lot of in between. And I've drawn this analogy with Gladiator. In the movie Gladiator, he is told that if he wins the crowd, he'll win his freedom. And I believe that arcraiders pulled that off. They won the crowd. So they won the freedom to charge money for their game. Now, Concord didn't win that. They didn't win the crowd. I don't think Marathon's going to win the crowd. If you don't win the crowd, you're dead. It's just like in Gladiator. It's a thumbs up, thumbs down, right? You're either going to live or you're going to die. And thank you, Khalid, for 46 months. When should we expect a retrospective on the Expedition 33 to drop? The video has to be at least 2 hours. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I don't know when I'm going to do that, Khalid. I need to do one on Yote as well. It's very difficult right now to find time for all of that, man. Because I am primarily a live streamer. But you gotta win. You gotta win the crowd if you want to win your freedom to charge for the game. Now, the interesting thing is, if the expectation for many people is that, like, well, a live service game should just be free, right? You want to fill your funnel. You want to get a lot of people in. Well, you've got to be free, right? Well, the money's got to come from somewhere, boys. The money's got to come from somewhere. How do you expect the game to be sustained if you don't have microtransactions? Now, I'm not saying, I don't necessarily agree with what Eugene is saying all the way to the end of the road. Like, well, if it's free, you can't complain about microtransactions. Because if they were like, yeah, it's free, but your character is in a diaper unless you spend money. Oh, you want your character to have clothes and like a cool helmet instead of running around in a diaper? Well, you got to give us money. Well, that would feel pretty coercive. That would feel like, man, you're basically really shortchanging the player in an effort to kind of squeeze them for money. I've also talked about what I label the art of the squeeze, okay? The art of the squeeze is a game that would be free to play. So this is a hypothetical. I don't have good examples because this is always a risk, and I don't really have examples, but I guarantee you there are games that have either tried this or they're currently doing this and no one can really tell. So the art of the squeeze is a game that intentionally slows things down so that your earn rate of a particular XP or currency is very slow, so that your own investment is then pitted against you. They use sunk cost fallacy to encourage spending. You're like, oh my gosh, I've already played for 50 hours this week. I just, it's taking too long. I'm just going to spend the $5 and buy the thing, right? That's the art of the squeeze. So in a free to play game, I don't want to hear this like, well, it's free, so just put up with it. Well, now hang on a minute. Just because it's free doesn't mean they can do whatever they want. They can't do something that's like unethical or predatory or dishonest. That's not microtransactions, that's pay to win. Right. So we need to draw a distinction. This is why calling everything pay to win is a mistake, because paying for a shortcut in a PvE game isn't the same as buying a cape in something else. Which I qualified. Yeah, I didn't see that. Sorry. So having categories of cosmetics and having categories of like loot or XP or gear, okay? These are different categories. If we're in the category of cosmetics, I tend to agree that in a free-to-play game, cosmetics are sort of fair game. If they want to charge $50 for a pair of aviators that you put on your character's face, that's their choice. They can charge whatever they want. They could charge the craziest amounts. Yeah, these aviators are $52.37. You'd be like, what the frick? If it's a free-to-play game and it's only cosmetic, the market will determine whether or not they can get away with that. Charging $15 and $20 for a skin in Fortnite, in many people's minds, that's ridiculous. The market has determined that they're able to do that. The market's determined that it's allowed. They buy it and support it in a high enough ratio that that Fortnite continues to do that. Now, Fortnite trotted out $100 skins, it might be a different story. That would be a bridge too far. There's always a breaking point with the market. Like, the market will respond, maliciously or hostilely to that. Yo, Sal with the 5-bomb over here on YouTube, getting us a little bit closer. 457 on the week. Thank you, boys, so much for continuing to push us closer and closer to that goal. A Halloween edition tonight of my wife reacting to gaming news. We will be in costume. We're going to play the Quarry and see if we can't get everybody to survive this time, because last time they all died. And then community game night could happen over the weekend as well. We'll do arcraiders. We'll maybe do a bit of both, arcraiders and Jackbox. We'll see. The exception being exploiting many with compulsive disorders, but it happens everywhere. All right, here's the deal. If someone has what you're calling a compulsive disorder, if they've been genuinely diagnosed, like they didn't self-diagnose because they always buy a Hershey bar at Target, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people out here self-diagnosing what they think they have. It's a bit of a problem. Like mental health advocates, doing talks and podcasts about mental health, and they have no degree, no certification, no authority on the subject. They're just an advocate, right? It would be like me suddenly being really gung-ho about nutrition and physical well-being, and all of a sudden you're giving me panels and I'm doing podcasts and a Patreon about it. I'm not an authority on the subject. I have no education, right? So let's say you actually have somebody who does genuinely have, they've been actually diagnosed with some kind of a compulsive disorder. This isn't me being crass or lacking in empathy for these people, because I have a degree in counseling, okay? I have a master's in counseling. Here's the deal. There is zero impetus or imperative or responsibility of a business to not sell things in a way that might hurt, harm, or like that person can't say no, right? Like, if you have a gambling addiction, like, the gas station doesn't have a responsibility to not sell scratch-offs because you just can't say no to them, right? If you have a genuine, like, diagnosed gambling addiction, the gas station selling scratch-offs, like, your problem is not their responsibility. Now, I obviously have my own views of gambling and scratch-offs. I have my own view of going into, like, you know, low-income neighborhoods and putting those stupid, you know, getting your checks in advance and then having crazy fees and taking advantage of people who are basically barely above or at the poverty line. Like, I think those companies are disgusting. But unless there is some sort of, and that I guess would get into morality and ethics, and do you even believe these things exist? Like, do you believe that there are moral imperatives and ethical imperatives on businesses to not do that sort of thing? But if a video game has, like, you know, really, really cool capes for the characters and they're only available for a week, and somebody's like, oh, you're taking advantage of my compulsive disorder. Listen, you got to be responsible for your own self to a certain degree. Arthur Torres with a single gifted over here on YouTube. Thank you very, very much. The reason this is already so high, y'all, we did morning coffee this morning. It was an unlisted stream, and it was also on Twitch. If you want to come to morning coffee every morning, get in the Discord for the link, or just come to the public stream, the stream you're in right now. There'll be a link in the chat to morning coffee. So some of you guys missed morning coffee this morning, all right? It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. Right. If you have to live with the limp, you got to figure out how to live with your limp. Like, your limp is not everybody else's responsibility. Like, yes, you would hope that people would be empathetic and charitable to you and try to help you where they can. But, like, you know, if a business is meant to, like, essentially always make sure they're not doing something that would be tempting to somebody with some sort of a disorder, they wouldn't be able to do anything. Does that make sense? Like, they wouldn't be able to do anything. They would ultimately have to not do anything, because you could always claim, well, I can't say no to purchasing this, and you guys made the sale placard bright colors, and it made me buy the candy bar. And it's like, what the frick? Like, do you see what I'm saying? Lono has to keep his daughter away from eggs. It's not McDonald's to know to keep an Egg McMuffin away from her. We are a family with a pretty severe allergy, anaphylactic, where if my daughter has eggs, we have an EpiPen, okay? Whether she has them as eggs, like, you know, fried, boiled, hard-boiled, or whatever, or just, like, baked into something, right? Baked into a cookie or cake. She can't have it, okay? And it is one of the easier allergens to avoid, but you still have to avoid it, okay? It's still something you have to be very keenly aware of. Yeah, there's no impetus on businesses to, like, not use eggs because we have an egg allergy. You've never heard of an egg allergy? It's one of the top 8 most common allergens, you know, that people are allergic to, you know, because you got, like, you know, the more common are, like, dairy, nut, wheat, soy. I can't think of them all, but the top 8, which I think there's now top 9. The top 9, the top 9 allergens, eggs one of them. You have the same issue? Yeah. So it's just something that we have to live with. And it doesn't create a responsibility on other businesses. Guys, really quickly, try to get us to 200 likes before we've been live for 1 hour. That is really, really helpful. That is extremely helpful. Help us get a little bit closer to that 100 like count. Make that your ritual. Yeah. Oh yeah, shellfish is a big one. That's another one. Yeah. What's good, El Nini? Good to see you. And we are taking questions, and only the members can submit questions. Nightbot will not react to your question. No Arc Raiders, it's the new hotness. You mean how I did a talk show about it yesterday and then a gameplay session with it yesterday that you weren't there for? That Arc Raiders? I'm just giving you guff, brother. I covered it yesterday. I played it yesterday. It's on the thumbnail today. What are you talking about? Somebody said something. Hang on. Where'd it go? Oh, no, there's gifteds coming in. 2 single gifteds come in from Sal. Boom, boom, 460. Getting us a little bit closer to unlocking the Halloween special stream tonight. Come on, man. Kelios. Yeah. You're also going to play after this stream? Yeah, I'm going to do a gameplay stream after this called Operation Friendship. We are going to try and play the game and make friends with people. If you come and play with me, you're not allowed to shoot anybody unless it's in defense. Like, we're not going to initiate fights. We're going to initiate friendship. And we're going to see how it goes. Gambling is not addiction either. A pack of cards can't make you do anything. I'd be careful talking brazenly about things that you might not be informed about. Like, you know, oh, that's not an addiction. Okay, well, have you researched it? Do you know what people that deal with it, you know? Do you know how their brains are wired? Do you know what they've done to themselves often? Like, it's the behavior needs to be explained somehow. A lot of the times I think people forget that when we use these terminologies, we're using these terminologies to categorize behavior and behavioral patterns. So, your daughter's the only person I've ever heard for an egg allergy, but I get it. One of my sons is allergic to almost everything. It seems like various grasses, shellfish, roaches, red sauce. Yeah. I had never really encountered anybody allergic to eggs either until my daughter. Yeah. Yep. It's a thing. Yeah, the deep fake of Neil deGrasse Tyson. That was good. He did a thing on it. He's like, that's not me. So yeah, it's a brain thing more than the item thing. Gambling only punishes 2 kinds of people, greedy and undisciplined, which in that case you should lose all your money, preferably to me. Yeah, once again, like, people like you commonly speak on subjects with just brazen ignorance because you're clearly uneducated about it. To say that there's only 2 types of people that gambling punishes, which is greedy and undisciplined. Actually, the people that suffer the most from gambling and gambling compulsions are usually impoverished persons or people at or below poverty line. It's usually, a lot of it's done in an act of desperation. A lot of the reasons that certain locations for certain types of businesses and gambling facilities, the reason they target low income is because those are the people more likely to do it. They're the ones most likely to feel that call of like, well, this could grant me financial freedom out of the misery that I'm in right now. So, yeah, wealthy people do it too because they can do it and take very little risk. Like, it can be pretty cavalier, you know, with their money if they're very, very wealthy. So, and another gifted member comes in from Catwalk. We're at 461 on the week. Thank you so much. Okay. Another question comes in from Perfect Image. I may not know all the numbers, but Unreal Engine that provides a lot of games, but it's been giving me bugs. What's going on with Unreal? I mean, there's a whole host of problems with Unreal. There's a whole host of problems with it. Some of it is that the rough edges require more work and developers run out of time. You know, some of it is there are latent stuttering issues with Unreal as an engine that existed in Unreal 4 and now they exist in Unreal 5. So there are issues just with the engine at like a foundational level, and sometimes it requires a bit more work. Sometimes it's just there's no way around it. This is just kind of the general trajectory of the engine right now is that it's getting better, but it still requires extra work. So The biggest road is traversal stutter. The game cannot load large environments. If it's a full engine, arcraiders does not use the full engine. It uses a fork that they made. Yeah, I've seen a lot of things about that recently, that the issue with Unreal is it has to do with like map size and stuff. So there's particular reasons that cause issue with this. So watch out, guys. This guy plays poker. He's an expert on the psychology of addiction. I can always tell when somebody doesn't know what they're talking about by the way they talk about it. Like he just the way that he spoke about it. You know nothing about the subject. You're not even speaking from the sidelines. You're speaking from the parking lot. Like you don't even have a basic fundamental understanding of like what addiction is and how it can take different forms and shapes. Whether they're, because there are chemical addictions, there are gambling addictions, there are addictions to, the seedy content of the internet. There's a lot of them out there, and to speak in the way that you did means you know basically nothing about the topic. So, he watched a YouTube video on the subject? Yes. Okay. Siriu with a question says, with games like Battlefield 6 and arcraiders being well received, do you think we'll actually get to the point of COD being in real trouble? Here's the thing with Call of Duty. Call of Duty's trouble is never going to be that like it dies. It's that it will become weakened to the point that they'll make pretty hard decisions about the level of support that it gets. So think of it this way. Let's say that you've got a business that you're running and you have 100 employees, okay? And your business is doing very well. Let's say your business takes, a 10% hit on the year. You just make less money for whatever reason, right? You lose that 10%. Well, what would likely happen is you would assess if that loss continues, or if that's your new, let's just say that's your new revenue threshold, right? If that's your new revenue threshold, then you'd have to make a decision. Do you still keep 100 employees going? Because the cost of operations is now it basically is a threat to your margins because you're making less money. So Call of Duty's worry is not that it dies. It's that it becomes weakened to the point that they'll look at the support that it gets, like 11 studios, like an absurd amount of people work on Call of Duty. So if it gets weakened to the point that they decide, like, listen, we've got to cut support, that can become a bit of a spiral staircase. Because if I'm like, I have 100 employees and I'm not making less money, I need to let some of my employees go. Well, what could happen then is other people at the company have to take on more work. They get stressed out. Morale goes down. Quality of work goes down. Consumer satisfaction goes down. And guess what? I make less money again. Like, I make the problem worse. That's obviously an issue with games. Is that if Call of Duty gets weakened to enough of a degree that they decide to lower support for it, and they have less people working on it, they have less people, checking for bugs and quality or whatever. Well, guess what that can do? That can lead to a heightened sense of customer dissatisfaction. It can. So, if that happens, you can have then another year where less people are playing Call of Duty. Because they're like, well, there's more bugs, there's more problems. Yeah, their quality assurance, their quality control sucks now. Well, that's the issue. I don't think there's this world where like, well, everybody's playing Battlefield and arcraiders now and Call of Duty's dead. No. The worry and the concern is when your game is that large and your daily engagement, weekly and monthly engagement is really, really high, if that engagement gets diminished by 10% or something, they're going to say, hey, we're making less money on Call of Duty. We have 11 studios on that property. What the frick are we doing? Like, Microsoft wants its margins, right? They've made that very clear. They want their 30% margins. Well, how do you get there? One of the best ways to get there is to keep your production costs down. We've talked quite a bit about this, that like Microsoft is forecasting a future of games where production cost is kept low so margins can stay high, and the game needs to have broad reach. It needs to be everywhere. That doesn't sound like a great recipe for game quality. And so that would be the concern with Call of Duty. Is that with if it gets weakened enough, it's not dead, dying, or lacking in sales. Like, it'll be at the top of the sales charts almost no matter what, right? It's practically freaking guaranteed that it'll be at the top of the sales charts. That's not the point. It being at the top of the sales charts doesn't mean that it hasn't been weakened. It doesn't mean that it hasn't it's making less money. If it's making less money, that's when the bean counters are going to say, hey, something's wrong here. We're not making enough money. And then they cut some studios, they cut some quality assurance people loose. So, died in 2023, born in 2025. Welcome back. Yeah, it does. I would say arcraiders does kind of have a vibe of what it looked like the Last of Us Online was going to be. It's obviously quite a bit different, I would imagine, but like the visual vibes are certainly there. Yeah. Guys, if you haven't hit the like button yet, feel free to hit that like button. So that will let's get to 200. Let's try to have a big day. We're already having a big day. A lot of questions, a lot of people here. And let's see. Another question here from Shadow Dre. If you guys want to submit a question like this, you need to be a member. So consider click and join, or using your Prime, or subbing wherever you're watching, whether you're watching on Purple or YouTube. Those are great ways to support what I do. If you haven't hit subscribe yet on YouTube, that's totally free. And then make sure throughout the week, if you're looking for my live streams, that you check your sub page. Sometimes I won't be on your homepage. There's some things going on where maybe you can't find me. Well, if you're in the Discord, or if you check that sub page, you will find these daily shows. And Shadow Dre says, Arc Raiders feels 50-50 on opinions early on. What? On your opinion, or you mean others? Right? I'm landing. That direction is interesting, but the next few updates will be crucial for its future. Where do you see its future going? I need to respond to something here just for a second, because people like this just deserve to be sort of verbally shellacked. Games of War says, Reforge doesn't gamble, but he's an authority on gambling. So essentially the logic of your argument is as ignorant as you are about addictions, because you're just continuing to display how little you know. So in order for your position to remain consistent, somebody could not speak on drug addictions without consuming drugs. So a specialist on heroin addiction doesn't actually understand it unless they're actually doing heroin recreationally. This is the depth of how idiotic your position is. It's not worthy of respect, and frankly, neither are you. You're only still in chat because it's fun to play with my food and kick around stupid people like you who speak brazenly about topics that they know nothing about. So now that in a matter of seconds we've logically dismantled your position, pick something else to talk about, or you can take a hike. Those are your options. You don't get to speak on something like this so brazenly and ignorantly and then demand respect from chat. You understand? I know that's a big question for you because you don't understand much, but hopefully you can understand what's been said to you right now. Question again from Shadow. Opinions 50-50. I'm landing in the direction that's interesting, but the next few updates will be crucial. I think the future of this is that very predictable. He says, don't get in your feelings. Listen, the playbook of the troll is as tired as a senior citizen in a nursing home. It's so tired. You say something ignorant and stupid. When you get strong reaction, you project emotion onto people having the strong reaction. Okay? So the playbook is so predictable, son. Like, you come in, you say something stupid, you get a strong reaction, because by design, stupid statements get strong reactions, and then you project emotion. See, your response to my argumentation and my dismantling of your logic is to say, Reforge, you mad. Reforge, you're in your feelings. No. You are pulling from the playbook of the weak-minded troll who does not have the capacity to argue their position, so they retreat into the Alamo of emotional projection when someone dismantles your argument. I've been doing this for a decade. What you are doing is literally by-the-book trollish gaslighting. I'm going to say something stupid and ignorant. When I get strongly checked on that, I will project emotion onto the people disagreeing with me. You're boring and uninteresting. You're a billboard. You're a t-shirt of the week. You're just another guy on the internet saying stuff that you don't know anything about. And when you get strong responses, you project emotion onto other people. Rudeness is the weak man's imitation of strength. Coming in and being rude and saying crass things about people that have addictions and saying crass things about topics you know nothing about, it's the imitation of strength. You don't have strength in your position or your argument, so you use emotionally charged language, emotionally charged hyperbolic terms, and then when people react strongly to you, you project emotion onto them. You're like a worn out mitt. It's just tired. It's so rehearsed. We've been here, done that with so many people. You ain't in the room, stay in class. Homie, I have a degree in counseling and have counseled people with addictions. You don't know who you're talking to. I've been close to addictions. I've helped people with it. I've studied it. I've seen the ramifications of it. What do you mean stay in class? I'm not in class. You're in class. I'm taking you to school because you don't know what you're talking about. Like, you talk about being in class. That's actually something that you should try. Like, I don't know, get an education, because clearly you lack one. Now that I'm done doing that, because I spent about enough time dealing with the fool according to his folly, we will no longer become fools with this fool. We're going to take questions about games. So the question from Shadow Dre is the future, right? It's 50-50. Updates are going to be required to make sure that arcraiders can continue. Right, that's going to be the issue. The thing that I kind of outlined in the front of the show is essentially the idea that they need to smooth over the rough edges of the open. Like, let me give you an example. So Borderlands 1 ran data reports on their game. I don't have the exact numbers, so I'm going to give you an approximation of the numbers, okay? So they ran reports on Borderlands 1, and they found that a high degree of people quit the game before getting to the 2-hour mark. The people that got past the 2-hour mark, their engagement went like this, like broke out of the graph. If you made it past the 2-hour mark in Borderlands 1, you played a ton. But there was an odd pattern where people that didn't make it to the 2-hour mark just quit. Just a high degree of people. Now, what that means is your game's on-ramp is too steep. Does that make sense? Like, picture it. Picture the on-ramp. It's just too steep. People are like, they like spin their tires. It's too hard to kind of get into gear with the game, and they fall off. Right? 2 hours doesn't even get you to the Nine Toes guy. For sure. Yes, Kevin. Correct. So I do think in arcraiders, they've got to think about that. They've got to be running data and saying, is our on-ramp too steep? If it's too steep, then that's what you're going to deal with. You're going to deal with people who Hey, if you get past the on-ramp in Arc Raiders, you're going to put in hundreds of hours. That's great. That's great. What about the people that don't? I've said this a couple of times. The biggest fear that Embark should have about Arc Raiders is people quitting, not because they don't like the game, but because they can't get into gear with the game. That should be your biggest fear. That should be your absolute biggest fear, is that you have a great game, people want to play it. You've won the crowd. Like I said with the gladiator analogy, if you win the crowd, you win your freedom. They have won the crowd. People love it. They're singing its praises. It's viral. People watching me play yesterday were like, Lono, you're going to make me buy this game for $40, right? They're being hyperbolic. I'm not actually making them buy the game. But they were being compelled to buy it. Okay, so that's happening at a much bigger scale than my stream. You know, my stream, we had like a couple hundred people. You've got hundreds of thousands of people, you know, watching other streamers play, and they're like, ooh, I think I want to get into that. Again, the dilemma, the concern, the worry would be that if your on-ramp is too steep, you're going to lose people that could become fans of your game. Does that make sense? So, I've provided, you know, a pretty good amount of feedback that I think they need to consider. I think they need to consider the elements of on-ramp and the elements of, you know, getting acclimated and the elements of, you know, like, it's not a tutorial necessarily, and I'm not saying hold their hand, okay? I'm not saying hold their hand. I'm saying I think there are elements of the game that could be smoothed out. They could be. You could make it to where I think they could do things with the free kit that would certainly help. Yo, thank you, Empreb, for 38 months in a VIP. Let's bump the line. 462, ever closer to the goal for the week. Is there a clan system? Not right now. But like Baba Ferk said, are casual people paying 40 and walking into this game? You bet your butt they are. Yes. I don't think you hit these player numbers. I don't think you climb the sales charts on Steam without casuals. I think there are tons of people buying this game because of word of mouth and the hype and the virality. It's like Helldivers. It's having a moment. Just based on general buzz? Oh, yes. For $40 for sure. I believe it. I totally believe it. $40 is a nice entrance fee. It's not 60 or 70. You know what I mean? Like, there's enough buzz around it. There's enough viral clips. There's enough people talking about it. I'm telling you, it hasn't climbed the charts on PlayStation like Steam. How do you know that? We don't have the data yet. PlayStation Store, most sold. What's that page you can go to see what's selling the best? Like, is it the best sellers? No, not that. This is like best sellers overall. We need the one that like ranks what's selling well right now. I thought there was a way to do that. PlayStation Store. What is it's top? Is it top sellers? It's not best sellers. I thought it was top. The best sellers is just showing me games like Grand Theft Auto and Ghost of Tsushima Legends, and we know that that's not the case right now. Holy mackerel, that's a big one. A 50 bomb from Flyers over here on Twitch. And boom, Kratos pops out for the 50 bomb. I don't get to use that alert a whole lot. And there it is, securing the goal for Friday night. So tonight is on. The Halloween stream will happen. My wife on Friday nights. It's a new segment. We've done it a couple weeks in a row. Last week I had to wear a suit and tie. This week we'll be in costume because it's Halloween. My wife reacts to gaming news. Be here for that. Now the stretch goal is 750. We'll be doing some Arc Raiders. How did you get that, Eugene? Where do you go to find that? That thing you just took a screenshot of. How do you get... What is this login thing? I got logged out of all of my Discords, I think it's because I changed my password yesterday, which that's actually probably good. That's probably good. Good security here. Hang on. Yeah, how do you get this? Okay, here, Tycho's got it for me. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so here's the store. Okay, so arcraiders is right here. All games showing sorted by best selling. Okay. So 2K, Fortnite, Football Club, Madden, Call of Duty, Roblox, Battlefield. I thought Ghosts of Yote flopped. I thought Ghost of Yote flopped. Somebody told me that it flopped. Anyways. Yeah, by the way, guys, when somebody does a 50 bomb, you're supposed to spam the farty bomb emote. Let's see some. You guys did it on YouTube. Good work. Good work. All right, Wilbur. I appreciate you, Wilbur. I got it. Okay. Anyways. If we remove the big, gigantic Leviathan live service games, like... What? Did we have a blip? It's saying that my bit rate is too low. We must have had a blip or something. What is going on? I don't think it likes the 50 bombs. I think the combined chat app absolutely freaks out and breaks when we get 50 bombs. All good? Stream's good? Oh, okay. YouTube's not having any problems. Okay, YouTube's barking at me that my bit rate's not high enough or something. Anyways, thank you for the farty bombs. Oh, wait, hang on. I missed a 5 bomb from Wired Rope because it broke everything. Hang on. A 5 bomb comes in and gets us to 517. Thank you so much. If you guys unlock Community Game Night, we'll play Arc Raiders. So let's do this. Let's see if I can't get an Arc Raiders PNG over there for you guys, so you know what we're working on now. Here, let's change the pumpkin to that. There we go. There we go. Here, let's do this. All right, this is the new incentive now. All right, a little community game on the weekend. We will continue our friendship campaign. Right, Operation Friendship is a go. We're gonna do it this afternoon. All right, let's go back and look at this again. Now that I'm done freaking out about the bit rate. Yeah, it's saying it again. The stream's current bit rate is lower than recommended. Oh, you know what? I know what it is. Did we lower the bitrate? Yeah, we did. Hang on. Hang on. I'm just going to increase the bitrate. I can increase the bitrate in YouTube. I lowered it to 10,000. We're back on AV1, and AV1 you're supposed to do like 12 to 15,000 or something, so I just bumped it. It's fine. I've got a gig fiber. We're good. I fixed it. Okay. I won't get those alerts anymore. All right, let me go back to what I was getting ready to say. Okay. Ghost did flop. It has a discount. That is what I was told on Twitter. That's good. Okay, so we'll remove the big live service games that you're never going to be bigger than. Call of Duty is up here because everything's included in this. All right, so remove that, remove Madden, remove Football Club, remove Nightmares, remove 2K. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Roblox 6. So we got a -6. Actually, college football down here 7. So we have 1, 2, 3, so 6 is in 12th place. Okay. Listen, you remove 7 from that 12. This is doing amazingly. Look at the games it's above. Let's have a different perspective on this. Okay, let's have a different perspective on Arc Raiders. It's above Minecraft and Rivals and Grand Theft Auto and Genshin. Like it's, these are games that are typically always near the top. Minecraft, Rivals, Grand Theft Auto, Genshin. Arc Raiders is doing very well right now, even on PlayStation. On Steam, it was at the top. Now, what sparked this discussion was the question, are casuals going to be flocking to this game and buying this game? Right. A lot of my feedback is, hey, you don't want to lose those people, right? You don't want to lose those people. You don't want those people, falling out of the what I call an on-ramp that can be too steep. I actually do think, yes, there's a lot of people playing the game right now that are probably more casual. While I'm loving Arc Raiders, I don't think you should remove 7 games from that list because of what the game is going against. You have to understand why I'm saying what I'm saying. I'm not saying remove it so that it can win. I'm saying if you remove games that are just always going to be up there and actually have Arc Raiders competing against other new releases, it's doing very, very well. Do you get what I'm saying? Operation Friends No Cap, Operation Bunk Buddies, Operation Friendship. That's what I called it, isn't it? I called it that on Twitter. Look, here, I'll show you guys the thumbnail for later. I'm putting the word out, all right? Here it is. There it is. Operation Friendship. This is for later today, okay? I expect your help. I expect your contribution to Operation Friendship. I want you guys out there. I want you guys out there making friends, right? Operation Friendship is magic. It is. There it is. There it is. Wooly. Wooly says, seeing a lot of streamers celebrating teaming up to shoot down arcs or getting revived themselves and then stabbing people in the back. I get it's just a game, but the streamers doing this are advocating the majority of people giving up playing. Zero good faith. He says, fortunately myself, Reforge Gaming, and others are making our mission to counteract this behavior through Operation Friendship. We believe the minority of griefers can and will learn a better way to play. That's right. That's right, Wooly. Tell them. Tell them. We are here. We are here. Our mission and your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to make friends, okay? I think we can have a lot of fun with this. So, but let's keep the talk show going. We'll do that later. We'll do that later this afternoon. Operation Don't Shoot. No. That's the Don't Shoot thing doesn't have the greatest cultural connotation historically. So let's go with Operation Friendship, okay? What is this? A YouTube user reserve? Okay. Okay. Free kit loadout only? Yeah. That's the goal. For Operation Friendship, you pick free kit, so you're not taking risk, and you go and just try and make friends. That's what we're going to do this afternoon. That's what we're doing. And I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope it's entertaining. Operation Friendship sounds bad. Everyone's a critic, Hilly. Okay? You like Halo, so we all have our faults. All right? Operation Stop or my mom will shoot. Anyways. Creature stop him? What do you mean stop him? I'm not doing anything. What's wrong with Operation Friendship? What, do you guys don't want friends? Right? I know a lot of you don't have friends, but okay. That was low. That was mean, and I'm sorry. I apologize. Okay? I don't want to see any twitlongers later today, but that was a little out of line. Okay. What? Y'all don't have friends? That's right. That's right. I feel so judged right now. We can fix you guys. I can fix you. We can find friends for you. Okay. I'm feeling attacked right now. See, Discord on my gaming rig has reverted all of my settings. I'm now getting notifications. How do I turn that off? Notifications. Enable desktop. Yeah, there we go. I don't want that. I don't want the taskbar flash. Well, taskbar flashing's okay. There we go. I had to turn that off again. You guys are like adding me, and I'm getting like desktop notifications about it. You have to mute all servers? No, it was the desktop notification rope, like down near the clock. It was like popping up every time somebody added me. So, Guys, make sure you've hit the like button. Make sure you've renewed your subs or checked your primes. Those are manual. You got to do those every month. You can add to the total. Quick, Discord. Lono is reading Discord. This is right. Halo is faultless. Sounds weird. Like 40-year-old dudes trying to make friends in games is weird. It's not weird. Why do you guys stigmatize stuff that's good? Like yesterday, everybody freaked out because I talked about spending time with children. You're like, yeah, you can't do that. You're not in this day and age. And now you're like, yeah, 40-year-old dudes looking for friends is weird. No, it's not. Friendship is great. You should try it sometime, Hilly. Jerry A comes in with a gifted member. Thank you so much. You guys are stigmatizing like normal human behavior. Like, I don't know about all this friendship stuff, you know, and being around kids, you freaking weirdo. I'm not the weird one. You are. Now they made the first goal, drop this bomb on them. Okay, I have an important announcement to make. I have a very important announcement to make about the coffee, and I need your help. All right? The website has been updated with a big, and I mean big sale. Right now, you can get a bag of Frickmas for $10.95 or a bag of Light Roast for $10.95. This has obviously then lowered the triple threat to $36. All three flavors are $36. The dark and light are $26. We are not discounting the dark roast, okay? We are attempting to move through the light and Frickmas roast blends, and it is a bank error in your favor. Turn that garbage off. You always make it look bad. It's a setting on your own website. I'm not running an extension. It's a button up here. What do you mean? It's there to be used. Anyways, take advantage of this. Have we fixed the back end, though, Creature, if they submit orders? Or am I going to have to go print these manually at stamps.com? Because somebody ordered this morning, someone named Robert ordered this morning, and I still don't see it on the back end to print. So if I got to manually print these all on stamps.com, that is going to be an enormous bummer. People are about to go flood us with orders. That was me. Oh, okay. Okay. Turn it back to dark mode. That's what I'm saying. The dark mode's nice. Look at this. Oh. Isn't that so much? I don't know about this, but this is so much nicer on the eyes. Anyways. Anecdotal report, but the queue time to start arcraiders with crossplay disabled was shorter for me on average than when playing Redsec and Battlefield 6 during the open beta. Okay. I have everything functional, I think. We just need to go over how to use it again. Well, I need to go to shipping and see orders, or unless it's somewhere else now. I mean, we'll know any minute. I'm sure people are going to order with the light roast and the Frickmas being so heavily discounted. So if anybody orders, let us know, and I'll pull it up and see if it's been rectified. Something happened on the back end. I got this email this morning. Thanks for shopping with us. We have finished processing your order. Oh yeah, Creature went through and processed all of the orders that were stuck in there. I'm assuming. Yeah, use the coffee command or go to reforgeroast.com. I appreciate you guys so much for supporting that. We're going to move through the light roast and the Frickmas at an enormous discount for you guys. And then going forward, it'll probably just be the dark roast. So it's a bank error in your favor. Right now, if you're a coffee drinker, you're going to have a hard time finding coffee that is at this price, unless you're buying like Folgers or something. So, anyways, okay, let's take a question here. Prisoner says, will you give Tormented Souls 2 a try for Halloween? It's one of the best horror games this year. The current goal that you guys have hit unlocked Madam and I playing The Quarry, which we played that before and everybody died at the end. We are going to attempt to play tonight and have everybody survive, okay? We're cheaper than Folgers right now. Yeah. So it supports me. It supports my family. It's very, very good coffee. You're getting coffee that should be closer to about $20 a bag, and you're getting it for about $10 a bag. So Folgers is $18. Telling you, coffee drinkers right now, tell your friends, direct them to reforgeroast.com. We have a lot of Frickmas and Light Roast to move through, and this is a great benefit to you guys. It's not a going out of business sale. It's a, when a company has too much of something, they're like, hey, we got to move through it, and you get a discount because of it. So, yeah. So, then you'll start getting those when you order. Yeah, those are supposed to come through when I print your orders, but it wasn't. Like, it was supposed to be automated, and it wasn't. Like, it was supposed to be very, very straightforward. So, anyways. I already got this question, Petrov. Why do UE5 games run so poorly? I already took that question. Bumblepants says, arcraiders plus Indiana Jones crossover when? I don't know what you mean. Try not to use the question command for jokes like that. Insomniac Black says, do you ever think that we will have a single-player-centered gaming fad? Every gaming fad centers around multiplayer, BR, extraction, etc. What could a single-player game do that's innovative? Here's the problem with the structure of your question is you're asking, when are we going to get... I'm trying to think. When are we going to get a swimming pool that is a trampoline? Like... And I know that sounds awesome, and somehow everybody wants to do that now, but this can't really happen. Like I don't know if a single-player game could be a fad, because fads are typically driven by community engagement. Like, that's why it's a fad. Like BR, Extraction. When Among Us was this huge fad, it's hard to have a fad with something that you play by yourself. Like Expedition 33, I don't even know if I would say that was a fad. That was like a cultural moment of virality and popularity. I don't know if it was a fad, though. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, when I think of a fad, it's like, oh, everybody is coming together around this thing, which I guess I'm saying that about Expedition 33. So maybe I'm refuting my own argument here. But in general, I think it's incredibly unlikely. Now, you will see influence. I think you'll see influence. Like Elden Ring influenced the market, and now you have a bunch of games that are coming out that are like Souls-likes that kind of look like Elden Ring. Like, you have these big, giant, grotesque bosses, and it's a Souls game, right? I wouldn't be surprised if we see Expedition 33 having an impact where you will see more action-oriented turn-based games in the future, because people are going to, I think, misattribute why that game was so popular. I think that was like a cherry on top that made the game more enjoyable for folks who typically don't like those types of games. They typically don't like turn-based, and that gave them an inroad. So I think that would be the fundamental question, is like, is somebody going to say, oh, well, yeah, let's all do the turn-based action thing. Is that why Expedition 33 was so popular? Could we say Souls-likes are a fad? A little bit. Like, I definitely think Elden Ring impacted the market. I definitely think there's a lot of publishers and studios that are like suddenly being like, oh, hey, we need to make games like that. That game was super popular. Let's do something like that. I mean, I think there's good reasons to think that you could do that, because there's not a lot of competition. But then what happens is you end up with a lot of competition because, like, everybody's doing it. Does that make sense? I can't wait for the overly complicated turn-based games where you not only have to do per timing, but also be in the correct stance as well. Right. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's difficult. Let me say it this way. I think you will see what you could label as a fad. You'll see them crop up here and there. I think they'll burn out a lot quicker in single player because you're not going to have staying power with a single player game. You're not. Like, nobody right now is having conversations about God of War or Horizon or Spider-Man. The only reason Yote's being kept alive in the discussion is because, very, very angry grifters have to come to grips with the fact that that's like the 7th game in a row they said that was going to flop because woke, and it didn't flop. And so, that's become the only reason Yote's really talked about now. Generally speaking, Yote would not be in the conversation after this many weeks. There'd be no reason to really talk about it. It's kind of over. Naughty Dog job listings reveal that they've started quality assurance and localization for Intergalactic. This usually occurs at the end of the development. It may be releasing sooner than expected. If I tried to tell people that it didn't make any sense to me that you would debut that trailer for Intergalactic at the end of 2024 and be like, oh yeah, it's not coming out for 3 years. I was like, 2026 makes more sense to me. I don't know. We'll see. People could be misreading that, but that's like the 3rd or 5th time I've seen that report circulating that like Intergalactic is focusing on localization and that would mean it's nearing its end of development. And I remember telling people, like, I don't understand. Like, you do that trailer and you're like, oh yeah, the game's not coming out for 3 years. Like, well, why did you show it then? Saw something earlier about Rockstar working on an MMO medieval game. It's a rumor. It was been going around since 2023. Yeah. Seriously, though, it stars a woman. I'm a little weak on my grifter lore. Yes, it does. It stars a woman. And she's not hot enough. It's a serious problem. Pray for our brethren out there. Silver Subaru says, do you think arcraiders could have a weekend event to encourage the casual gamers to play on the weekend? I mean, I don't think they need to do anything right now to like encourage people to play. I think you need to smooth out the beginning so that it's more informative and less of like a game full of rough edges and fire hoses. It literally feels like you're drinking from a fire hose. Has anybody taken advantage of the coffee sale? I'm not getting emails if you are. I'm just if anybody's done it. I was expecting to get at least. Okay, I'm checking the back end. Nobody's done it yet. Okay, let us know if you do. Honestly, probably showed it because everyone was complaining about Naughty Dog not having a game this generation. I have absolutely zero confidence in that theory, JC, because that's not how PlayStation operates. Like, PlayStation does not say, everybody's mad, we better do this thing. They pretty much ignore all that. You know what I mean? I just don't think that they care. I don't think that they're like, oh no, people are angry, we better put something out there. Also, that was not like a teaser. It was a long, high level of production trailer. They didn't slap that together in an afternoon to be like, well, we better show something. It was a pretty, I don't know. It was a pretty long and high production trailer. Escape from Duck Off is great. I don't think there's a market for multiple PvPvE extraction shooters. Yote, Returnal sequel, and what's the third? Yote, Saros, and what? I'm not sure what your question is, Zubair. Hades 2. Oh, Jack Garland says, I find it funny a coincidence that 3 major game sequels came out in the same month with gender-swapped main characters. Oh, yeah, so Hades 2. I mean, I wouldn't say gender swap. Yote and Hades aren't gender swapped. They're new stories with new characters. I feel like a gender swap is when like you literally are like, yeah, here is, Halo, and instead of Master Chief, you're playing as, Master Carla or something. I don't know. That doesn't. I feel like those were new stories. I feel like gender swap is like a pretty. I don't know. It feels like a very loaded term. These were like whole new stories. Hades 2 has the main character's sister. It picks up immediately after Hades 1. Right, but it's not a gender swap because it's a new character and a new story. It's not like you said, oh yeah, we're replacing Steve with Susan. Does that make sense? Like, that's why I don't like the term. The term sounds, it's loaded. It sounds like you took a character and swapped them for somebody else. Oh, you're agreeing it isn't a gender swap. Okay. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, oh man, where did Dave go? And they're like, who are you talking about? This is Darla. And it's like, wait, huh? Like, you want to tell a new story with a new person, that's like totally fine and normal. I don't know. I feel like when the reason people are like quick to pull their guns from their holsters about like gender swap is because you're hearing rumors about like, well, 007 is going to be a woman now. Okay, so now you've got a character that's historically a guy, all of a sudden being a girl. That to me is when the term makes more sense. You're probably right about the term. No. I know Jack Garland. I know you weren't trying to say anything. You weren't trying to do the whole saying something without saying something thing. Yeah, Lucy Liu playing Watson in Elementary was a gender swap. That is correct. And she actually was one of the best I've seen. My wife was very hesitant. She's like, really? Because we like Sherlock as a character. We like the Sherlock movies. We like the Sherlock show from the BBC with Cumberbatch. And I wanted to watch Elementary with her because I love the main guy from Hackers. And so I wanted to watch it with her, and she was hesitant because she was very worried. She hates that kind of thing. She hates that kind of pandering nonsense. She's like, I don't want to watch something where they're like, oh yeah, this character's a girl now. Like, she didn't want to watch it. And I was like, let's watch it and see if it's any good. And it's like one of our favorite shows. She loved it. She was like, they actually did a good job with it. She's like, it didn't feel like they tried to force it. They didn't create some weird, subtext narrative. It was like, no, it actually made contextual sense, and they did a good job with it. Yeah, Zero, cool. So like, it worked really, really well in Elementary. There are times where I think it works really, really well. Which is interesting that like, I'd be interested to like, you want to litmus test all these claims about like, woke and gender swap this and gender swap that, or race swap this and race swap that. And it's like, there are so many instances where it's been done so well. I think the instances where it's been done poorly are very low in quantity, low in number, because you got Nick Fury, and then you got Lucy Liu in Elementary as Watson. I think those are two great examples of like these were awesome. Moriarty being a black woman in Bola Holmes. Did you mean Enola Holmes? Kind of upset me. I don't know. Enola Holmes feels almost like fan fiction, so I kind of didn't care how canonical it was. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I did like Henry Cavill as Sherlock, though. I mean, I like him a lot, for a variety of reasons. But, yeah. Yeah. I think it's been done in a variety of ways and has been just fine. There are other times where I think it obviously feels like stupid and cheesy and pandering, but it's like, that's why I think fundamentally you have to engage with like the actual content and critique it. Okay, hang on. Did that one go through? Okay, I got that order. Okay, thank you, Amskin, for ordering 2 orders of light. Let me check the back end. And it said there were new orders. There it is. So it looks like we're back in business, Creature. Everything looks correct on my end. And I'm going to close it so I don't accidentally switch scenes and dock somebody. Okay, I think we're good. We're good. Coffee is hugely discounted right now, guys. The light roast and the Frickmas. It's a light roast and a medium roast, all right? I would be pushing if it wasn't working. I would be pushing if it was working. Well, I mean, you know, the back end's been weird lately. I kept getting errors and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Are you going to act like this has been smooth sailing, creature, and we've never been like, hey, everybody order, and then all of a sudden stuff's wrong and shipping rates are long? Come on. Come on. It's been one of the rockiest endeavors we've ever done. We're like, it's broken, it's all wrong, and the bags are white. But sure, I should just have unwavering confidence that everything's going to work with the coffee. But the coffee is hugely discounted now, boys. It's like $10 a bag for the light roast and the Frickmas, all right? So help us move through the inventory. Go to reforgeroast.com or use the coffee command. Oh, gosh. You have a collectible bag? Yeah, if you've got one of the white Frickmas bags, man, that's collectors right there. He went full Microsoft. It'll be fine, trust me. Yeah, forgive me if I have a little like PTSD, you know, with the coffee. 15 months with Ultima Omnislash. Thank you so much for renewing your membership with Prime over here on Twitch. I appreciate it very, very much. Guys, make sure you're hitting the like button. Amskin says, no brainer when your discount is cheaper than what I pay every week for Folgers right now. Seriously, if you guys are buying coffee from the grocery store, it's cheaper with us right now. Ain't no harm in stocking up. You know what I'm saying? It supports me and my family, and you're going to get great coffee at a great price. It expires after Halloween. Yeah, this day only. No. Silver Subaru says, oh, I already answered this. Hang on. A question from Mediocre Milton says, how much do you think COD releasing in a few weeks will affect arcraiders player numbers? Here's the thing about Call of Duty, okay? It has been around for a long time, and I've cleaned out the question queue. If you guys want to submit, you'll be the first in line. Any question about gaming can be submitted with the question command, all right? Here's the thing about Call of Duty. It's been around for a really, really long time, and it's always going to cause a disturbance in the ethos, in the economy of attention. It's going to cause you'll cause ripples. You'll see Battlefield's BR engagement take a hit. You'll see arcraiders engagement take a hit. Now, the question that Call of Duty is asking is, how many people aren't going to come and play that ordinarily would have, because now they're sort of captured by arcraiders or Redsec, right? And in addition to that, how many people are going to go back to those games? Like, you might go play Call of Duty for a weekend or check out the new stuff for a weekend, and you're like, yeah, I'm kind of over this. And you go back to Redsec, you go back to Battlefield 6, you go back to arcraiders. Does that make sense? Like, Call of Duty is concerned on both fronts. On the front end, they're concerned about people that are just not going to come over. They're like, nah, I'm having a good time with this. Whether it's the Battlefield 6 traditional modes, the Redsec, or people are playing arcraiders. So that's the front end concern. Are we going to have a diminished player funnel by any measurable amount? Like, are we going to be able to quantify it and say, wow, we have a percentage lower on the engagement funnel that we're typically accustomed to? Excuse me. The other thing they've got to worry about is all the people that come and play Call of Duty, all the people that come and play Warzone. The question is that going to cause an issue with people going back? Are they going to go back to the, the Arc Raiders? Are they going to go back to the battlefield? Are they going to go back to, whatever the case may be, wherever they feel like is their new home? And somebody leaves a question on my waiting room yesterday and says, is it time to admit you were wrong about the PvEvP extraction genre? It would show growth and maturity and lead to a new fruitful conceptual discussions. Well, you have to represent my position accurately if you expect me to admit I was wrong. Like, my statements about PvEvP games and extraction games, I've not changed in my position. I don't think they will ever be as big as Battle Royales. I don't think they will ever be big, gigantic, mainstays. I think even Arc Raiders is going to struggle in this department. It will. It's 100% going to struggle with the fact that, like, you could end up with griefers, degenerate play styles, cannibalistic behavior, people just doing PvP. That is 100% a potential reality that Arc Raiders is facing, that can lead to player funnel reduction and engagement reduction. I've always said, listen, these games have a lot going against them. Hey, we got some more orders of coffee coming in. Vix Vapor grabs a triple threat, and LL Eldest One grabs an order of the triple threat as well. Thank you so much for helping us move through that coffee. Degenerate playstyles? You mean like people gambling? Shut the frick up. Well, you're never wrong. No, I admit I'm wrong all the time. I admit I'm wrong all the time. What are you talking about? I've changed my position many times over the years. See, the problem is I think people confuse someone who doesn't really take a hard stance on something until they've really thought about it. So it's unusual for me to miss the target. Like, I'm not out here shooting blindly. Like, oh yeah, the next big craze is going to be volleyball games. Like, I'm not shooting wildly. Usually, if I take a strong, convicted stance on something, I've really thought about it. I've really observed the market. When I'm like, Concord's going to flop, Marathon's going to flop. That's based on a lot of observation and a lot of thought. It's not just, yeah, it looks stupid. Like, so generally, yes, that's going to minimize the number of times that I'm like, I was wrong. Like, it's going to minimize the number of times that happens. I was wrong about Kill the Justice League. I was wrong about it. Now, in the realm of extraction shooters, I've consistently said that this will never be like the next big BR. It'll never do it because it's always going to have that rough edge of people are going to come in and feel like I'm just trying to do this thing and I got people griefing and killing me. And listen, if we fast forward a year from now and there are significant pockets of Arc Raiders that are PvE only, then you cannot come to me and tell me, yeah, you were wrong about extraction shooters. That will prove my point that you need something that's not PvP for it to last. Like, you need something that's not just going to degenerate into team deathmatch. And they seem very aware of that. They've said in interviews, they don't want it to be just a team deathmatch extraction where, like, all you're doing is fighting. They want the arc to be the primary threat. PvE is still the big focus of the game. At some level, that proves a lot of my predictions correct. That if you just have a game where, hey, I'm trying to get stuff and leave and people can kill me, that's going to harm your appeal. That's going to harm your engagement. It will. It'll make people say no thank you. Like, my view of extraction shooters was never that it couldn't work. I was saying everybody's gunning for it, and you're going to have a diminished funnel of players. Arc Raiders is landing and saying, look how popular we are. Look how many people we have playing our game. Look, extraction shooters, they can work. They can work. Are you sure? It's like the first 2 days. It's the first 2 days. In a month, they can have a fraction of their player base because people get sick of it. People get annoyed. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying, don't count your chickens before they're hatched. This experiment's not over. It just started. It's just started, boys. Like, they've really got to think about longevity. What did I say about Helldivers 2? I said Helldivers 2 is going to run into the problem of a diminished player pool, and that when people come back, there's too many war bonds. And what happened? They slowed down and reevaluated how many war bonds came out, and the number one complaint right now from returning players is there's too many war bonds. They're like, oh my gosh, there's too many war bonds. This is unbelievable. It makes it difficult to engage. I said the number one pain point of New World was going to be PvP and the effect that it had on player psychology and engagement. And it did. That was like the number one thing they had to babysit in the opening months of New World. So with arcraiders, yeah, right now, arcraiders is proving that you can get a lot of people to play your game when it first comes out. You can. That doesn't mean it's going to last. Even Marvel Rivals has dropped quite a bit in its player numbers. And I told people that would happen. I said the number one thing that had that thing booming and soaring was it was Marvel. And everybody wants to go play as Spidey. Everybody wants to go look at some thick thighs, with Sue Storm. But eventually that veneer wears off and you're playing Marvel Overwatch. And it'll shrink down to a core audience. That happens with every game. If Marvel Rivals can experience that level of high and low, I'd settle down, strutting your stuff, acting like Lona was wrong. arcraiders is going to show that you can have a very popular and big extraction game. I mean, they could have half the player pool they have right now in a couple of weeks because people could feel exactly what I'm concerned they're going to feel, that I just get killed, I just get griefed, I just get my stuff stolen. I don't want to play that. Right? That is 100% a potential reality. Marvel's free, so zero barrier to entry. Well, yeah, I mean, arcraiders being $40, I think, is always going to be a part of the equation and player psychology as well. Like, is anybody going to want, to play this game in 6 months if they're worried about, like, encountering players that are just way more experienced than them or whatever? Like, do you want to pay money to go get whooped up on and beat up on? This is an ever-present thought that they're going to have. How do we keep this game from cannibalizing itself? Because player bases tend to do that. They do. What tends to happen is, this is sort of the flow of every live service game, all right? If it's successful, you have the big boom, and you have this massive, massive interest. Sometimes, like in Helldivers, you have a reverse sales curve where your boom leads to an uptick because of word of mouth. Now, that's unusual, so generally you have the big boom. And then in the weeks after, you settle down to your base. The casuals drift, get annoyed, or have had their fill. Whatever the case may be, they're like, yeah, I'm good. So you settle down to your base. Your base then starts to form habits and metas and ways of playing the game that tend to cannibalize the game. Because eventually, there's nothing left for you to do. You've unlocked all the things, you've got all the things, you've reset your character more times than you can count. So now what are you going to do? You're going to PvP. You're going to grief. You're going to try to betray people. You're going to do whatever for some sake of, entertainment. When that starts to happen, you will start to lose more players because people are going to be like, I don't want to deal with this. I've watched this pattern in every live service game I have ever played. It happened in Destiny. It happened in Anthem. It happened in The Division. It has happened in every game I have ever seen. It even happened in Sea of Thieves, for crying out loud. Your core audience gets bored and they'll cannibalize the game because they'll just start playing it that way. They'll just turn into, to PvP focused or griefers or whatever. Now, this is where arcraiders has a secret weapon. They have a secret weapon. The secret weapon that arcraiders has is a significant PvE element that they can tune to make that really, really difficult. Like if you want to just grief and do PvP, the PvE element of the game is going to make that hard for you to do. Think about that in like Sea of Thieves. If every evening you tried to grief people in Sea of Thieves, you suddenly found yourself running for your life from like a pirate or an NPC or a monster, guess what would happen? griefing would be diminished in Sea of Thieves because it wouldn't be as fun. You'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't just go pick on people and sink their ship and laugh and sail away. I'm running for my life from this shark or kraken or ghost ship or whatever. Like, if they would have turned up the heat of the PvP punishment, the PvE punishment in Sea of Thieves, you might have diminished the people that just did PvP and griefing. Arcraiders has that in their corner as a secret weapon. They can basically make it to where that type of behavior is punished, or not like they're not gonna scold you and tell you to stop. They're not gonna do that, but it's gonna be difficult to get traction. It's gonna be difficult to get, momentum. Summit trolling in Sea of Thieves was pretty funny. Right, that's another element of this that's probably going to happen. You're going to have content creators that squeeze this game like a rag for content and clips, and then they're going to move on to something else. And that can also influence meta. People will think it's funny to betray. People will think it's funny to have everybody working on some big robot and then shoot everybody in the back. Like that's 100% going to be a thing that, I'm telling you, that could drive people away. It could. I think that's the greatest threat to this game. The greatest threat to this game is that people understand that the PvE is a threat, and they acknowledge they've got to work with other players, and then they just betray them after the fact. If that becomes the meta, that will also drive people away from the game. They're going to be like, why do I want to play that? Why do I want to invest large amounts of my time and energy into taking down some big robot just for some, cringy streamer to go, LOL, and shoot you in the back? Like, that's funny once or twice, but eventually I think the veneer of that will fade, and all you're going to have left is, again, a very cannibalized, a very sort of self-imploding meta where people aren't going to want to stick around for that. I said this for a long time about Sea of Thieves, that one of the reasons the hardcore Sea of Thieves players, the reason they never wanted to have a PvE environment, because that would make it almost impossible for them to have anybody to mess with. They didn't want to play PvP in Sea of Thieves. Okay? They didn't want to do that. They did not want to play PvP. What they wanted to do was mess with people who were... What is happening? Okay. To the kiddos coming in and saying that you know somebody, that's great that you know somebody. I would advise you to not put full names in chat. That's great that you know somebody, but that's just generally not a good idea or good practice on the internet to be putting like a full name in chat. So glad that you're here, but just a word of caution about doing that. Okay. I've been playing arcraiders like Apex. Oh, that's how you've been playing? Zubair says, who would put their real name in chat? Yeah. It's fine if you do it to yourself. You're sorry. It's fine. You're fine. You're not in trouble or anything. Generally that's a pretty good practice to do that. Yeah. If you want to use your full name, that's fine. But like putting somebody else's full name is just generally not a good idea. So, yeah. I think the longevity of arcraiders, to me, is really going to rise and fall on that. On player metas, player behavior. Because I'm here to tell you, they're sitting high on the hog right now. We have seen a lot. And I mean a lot of live service games go up and come right back down again. It would not be the first time that I was given assurances, yep, this game's doing great, Lono. You were so wrong. I mean, it happened with X Defiant. I had people, assuring me that game was going to go the distance. Now, if arcraiders maintains a player base and maintains a core, I still don't think that changes the economic structure of the gaming world, where all of a sudden you have people like there's going to be a bunch of other successful extraction shooters. I think one of the things I also said about extraction shooters is they're all going to step on each other. Right? They're all going to step on each other. There's going to be too many of them for them all to live. Like we saw this with Battle Royales, right? So many people tried to do Battle Royales, and there's basically the four horsemen of Battle Royale right now would probably be what? Fortnite, Warzone, Apex, and PUBG. That's kind of it. There's not a whole lot of room for others. In the extraction shooter genre, I think you're going to have even smaller potential consumer base that want to play these games. So you'll have maybe two. You'll have Tarkov, you'll have Arc, and then maybe another player enters the field and ends up having success and does well. I've to this day, I've just maintained the position that extraction shooters are never going to be a mainstay like a Battle Royale. They're just not. You have to remember too, a lot of the times I make remarks about this, I've made remarks about extraction genre. A lot of the times I'm responding to something that's, often very hyperbolic. Somebody might be like, well, I think, extraction shooters are going to take over. They're going to replace Battle Royale. And I'm usually responding to that. And I'm like, yeah, there's no stinking way. There is no way that's going to happen. I don't think extraction shooters will ever have broad appeal to the degree of a Battle Royale. I just don't think so. I don't think you'll see arcraiders hit those levels of popularity. So a lot of the times you've got to remember, if I'm interacting with a really extreme position like that, I'm not saying that extraction shooters have no shot of ever being successful or doing well. I'm pushing against the notion that extraction shooters can be the next Battle Royale. A lot of the discussion has centered around that. Has centered around, it'll be the next BR. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. You got all your workstations set up? I think I have 2 more I haven't built yet. I always wanted to play Escape from Tarkov, but I heard it didn't have good controller support, so arcraiders is my go-to now. Yeah, I think Tarkov is definitely more mouse and keyboard, especially with the style of gunplay and what you typically, see people, how you typically see people moving and shooting. I know you disagree, but I think Marathon would be the other one in the potential for Horsemen, but we do still need to see how they will remarket it. All reports indicate the last playtest was good. All reports? I've seen not great response, and I've seen screenshots that I don't know. In all the years I've been doing this, I've never seen a game in this short amount of time turn itself around. When that level of work needs to be done, when you basically need to do a 180, you got to completely turn the game around. I've never seen a game do it in this small amount of time. It just doesn't happen. Cyberpunk was a single-player game, and it took them 2 years to get it to a better place. 2 years. It wasn't online. It wasn't an extraction shooter. And if there's one thing I know about Bungie and their engine, they can't do anything quickly. I just don't think it has a shot. It's just there's no way. Just an FYI, our member stream will contest with Game 6 of the World Series. Oh, tonight? That's fine. I have some insights I can't share. That's fine. I'm not asking you to break NDA, Street Shadow. I just don't think so. I think they've got too much to overcome. So, Rogue Necro with 45 months on the VIP. Extractions has always been a no-go for me personally. I have a huge problem with some random griefer being able to come along and ruin my progress. Those lanes need to be separate. Let me add you to the total here. We're at 520. We are exactly a 5 bomb away from me owing you guys a member. Remember, whoever hits it gets it. If somebody drops a 5 bomb right now, if it's Twitch or it's YouTube, you guys get the member, whoever does it. And also a reminder, I'm going to put it back in the frame now. We've got everything fixed. Yeah, we've got everything fixed. So the Frickmas blend, which is a medium roast, and our light roast are deeply discounted right now. They're like $10 a bag. So it's cheaper than buying coffee at the grocery store right now. So if you're a coffee drinker, you can take advantage of our sale. And people in chat will tell you this is actually very good coffee. It's you're getting basically like almost like a $20 bag of coffee for $10. 33 months from Ula, Texas. Supplono, been a while. Hope you and Madam are well. Missed the last few streams, so is Arc Raiders a buy? I'm going to play it today with you guys in a segment we're going to call Operation Friendship. We're going to be going into the game and trying to make friends with people with the Prox chat, so be sure to stick around for that. I have really, really enjoyed it. I have really, really enjoyed my time with it. But my opening thoughts this morning were that my experience really could have risen and fallen on another player being nice. I'm getting 20 bags of coffee for 10. No, a $20 bag of coffee for 10. I'll look into it on a budget right now. Yeah, I mean, if you want to stick around, I can kind of walk you through some of the basics. My experience, again, it rose and fell on somebody being nice. Because my very first game, within 5 minutes, somebody killed me. I told people, I was like, I'm going to try to talk to people. I'm going to try to immerse myself into that. I'm like, a lot of the times when I'd be critical of Sea of Thieves, people would say, oh, Neo Reaper, I didn't see your 5-bomb. Sorry, Ula Tech did a resub and it pushed it out. My bad. A 5-bomb from Neo Reaper. And I owe you guys a member on YouTube. Thank you so much. I am so sorry about that, Neo Reaper. Ula Tech's re-up pushed it up out of my screen. Here we go. I owe you guys a member on YouTube. Thank you very, very much. Did you unlock ranked mode? There's a ranked mode? What do you mean? Yes, the AI voice changer is why that guy that I played with yesterday was 52 years old and sounded like a child. My first 3 I died within 5 minutes. Much better as the day went on yesterday. Okay, yeah, so let me go back to my story. So my first game I'm killed within 5 minutes. And a lot of people told me when I would be critical of Sea of Thieves, they'd be like, Lono, you never engaged with the game the way that it's designed. You would never use proc chat. You would never try to talk to anybody. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to take that criticism to heart. And in Arc Raiders, I'm going to try to talk to people. I'm going to try to make friends and be like, hey, let's work together. I'm not just going to shoot at every tumbleweed I see. We all know you guys have shot at a tumbleweed. I'm not going to do that. So the first guy I encounter, he doesn't want to talk. He just kills me. Okay, so now I've lost ammo. I'm already kind of on my back foot. I'm like, ugh. Last time I played this game, this happened. I had a couple of bad games, and then, you know, what am I supposed to do? So, second game, as soon as I encounter somebody, now I told people, they're like, come on, Lono, you can't play the game this way. Just shoot people. I'm like, no. I was like, I can't sit here and say that I'm not really interested in PvP and then just shoot everybody. That would be very hypocritical. So the next person I encounter, I say, hey, you want to work together? And the guy's like, yeah, let's do it. Right? Let's do it. And I'm like, okay. And so that completely changed my experience. One person like had that power. That guy could have been like, nope, and he could have blown me away because he was a really experienced player. He played the server slam for like, 30 hours or something, he said. He could have legit just blown me away. Well, okay, so what would have happened? I would have felt like I was kind of on my back foot. I was impoverished. Now I don't have anything. Now I got to run the free kit. I haven't even extracted yet. So my feedback to them is I would really heavily monitor early quit rates and just see if, are you... So bizarre. Are you losing people because, and this is kind of how I phrased it, you don't want people to quit the game because they can't get into gear. Does that make sense? Like, if people quit your game, that's fine. They're going to quit. Some people just aren't going to like the game. That's going to happen. You don't want somebody to quit because they feel like they can't get into gear. If the on-ramp is too steep and they're like, this game seems like a lot of fun. I've watched my friends play. I've heard my friends talk about it. I can't get into gear here. I can't get going. I just keep getting killed, or, now I have no loot and I don't really want to run a free kit. This is some of my advice to the developers. I actually think maybe they should make you start out only running free kit. Save your stuff. They're going to give you an allotment of loot. Like, let's look at it this way, actually. What if your first 3 extractions, they make you run the free kit? I think what they should do is expose you to the fact that the free kit's not that bad, and you can actually get quite a bit accomplished and get quite a little stockpile going. And then they say, now that you've done 3 extractions with the free kit, you've got all your loot, take some of it in. Now go in and take some risk. See, what you're doing is you're easing somebody into the system, so if they die the first couple of games, it's like, hey, no worries. You went in with nothing, so you lose nothing. Give it another go. I also still think having a PvE environment to sort of stock up with base level gear only, low level gray gear, nothing good, no greens, no blues, no purples. Having that PvE environment so they can feel like, man, I'm really on my back foot. I really can't get any traction. I keep getting griefed and killed. Let them go there and kind of get a kit going. Feel like they've got an allotment of things so that when they go in, they're not taking their last nickel of ammunition in. Right? People are going to be like, oh, but the chicken and those resources. Homies, I'm talking about the early hours of the game. That the early hours of the game are pivotal. If those first couple of hours are a smoother on-ramp, it's going to be like that Borderlands example I gave. There are people who played Borderlands, and if they got past that 2-hour mark, they played for hundreds of hours. But then there were people who quit and just never came back. And it's like, if you can get people past those early stages, they'll keep playing. And one of the ways you do that is, don't worry about those early stages. Don't over-legislate. Hey, somebody ordered some coffee. Thank you, Michael, for ordering 2 bags of Frickmas. We really, really appreciate that. So already today, we've had 4 orders of coffee. Don't forget, tell your friends too. Anybody you know that drinks coffee. That's a great deal that we're running right now. It's cheaper than you can get coffee pretty much anywhere. On the light roast and the Frickmas. So that's just kind of where I land on it. I don't actually have a criticism. I'm not thinking there's any fault in the game. I'm just like, you're going to lose people. And it's not going to be because the game's designed poorly, but because you didn't really build a thoughtful on-ramp. It's like drinking from a fire hose. There's so much information. There's so many NPCs. There's so many intertwined systems. It's really, really difficult to get your footing. And I would hate for that to be the reason that someone doesn't play. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that would be a bad reason for somebody to not play. Okay, here we go. I'm going to schedule for 30 minutes from now for 1 o'clock. All right? Now, once we get into gameplay, the memberships and the gifting, all of that tends to stop, okay? Now, you guys, if you want to come up with incentives to make me betray people, it's going to have to be significant, because I do not want to go against what I believe we should be doing in the game, which is, you know, why we're calling it Operation Friendship, all right? Let me go in here. Go like that. It's taking a really long time to upload the thumbnail. There we go. I wasn't quite sure what was going on there. Okay. There we go. All right, that's scheduled. Forgot you're on the East Coast. 30 minutes will be 1. Had me question your sanity. Yeah. I don't think you can be running around Operation Friendship and then shoot a hole in the back. Not good for the image. Right. We will, this guy says 52-year-old sees 66% rise in local coffee price and costs are up. Yeah, we're in a position where we can severely lower the cost of the light roast and the Frickmas, because we're going to be switching to doing just the dark roast only. So you guys can definitely benefit from our current transition. So, yo, what's good, Lushy? I do have a question in here that someone submitted. Mediocre Milton says, do you think the next Halo project will be more of the same, or BR, or an extraction game? I think they're going to have a lot. I think they're going to try to do a full court press with Halo. Whatever Certain Affinity has built is apparently a Battle Royale. That will likely be, in the market. I think there'll be a mainline Halo, with a campaign. I think that'll hit the market. I think those are going to be some of their aims that they have with Halo. Folks been using the arcraiders database. Seems helpful. I'm sure people will be making more websites like that. I've not used it myself. Would that coffee be good to make ice cream with? I'm not sure what you mean. I've had people say that the coffee is very good cold brew, pour over, like French press. Like, people have used it all sorts of different ways. Memberships to get others to betray you without you taking the first shot. I don't know. Like, if somebody drops a 50 bomb while we're doing Operation Friendship, I kind of feel like that person should be able to call the shots. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I think that's deserved. I'm like, listen, I'm sorry, my friend. Somebody in my stream just paid me to kill you. I'm gonna send you a friend request, and we're gonna fix this. We're gonna make this right. I'm like, no, please, no. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that could be pretty funny. We could make it entertaining, and we would be nice about it. We'd be like, listen, I hate that I have to do this. Just boom. And they're like, what? Why? And I'm like, listen, I'm going to send you a friend request. I'll give you all your stuff back. I promise. I've been paid to do this. It's a hit job. Can't you res them? Yeah, you can res them if you have like a defib, right? Coffee flavored ice cream, it's your favorite? YouTube CEO comes in and offers SEO in the algo. There were no survivors. Yeah, we need it. We need it. What we did today, it probably didn't make a difference at all as far as I can tell. It's still bad, Jack. He could come in and offer that and I'd be like, all right, let's go. We're gonna kill the whole server. How can you be nice about murdering someone in cold blood for money? Yeah, you can down them and pick them back up again, but once you down somebody, they're probably going to kill you if they get back up. You know? For that, Lona would kill any of us. That's right. If the CEO came in and offered that, I'd be like, that sounds great. Yeah, I don't think we would want to down people and like get them right back up again. That would not be. Yeah, you need the defib to do that. You need to be carrying a defib. I would get my 9th ban and this one would stick. Oh, your alleged, false claims about being banned is up to 9 now. I didn't know that, Zoob. Wow. Yeah, no hard feelings. That's right. Why do you lie about this? There is absolutely no evidence to you being banned 8 times because it never happened. You know what I mean? You're a lawyer. You understand burden of proof. I mean, I would really hope you understand burden of proof. I mean, if you understand burden of proof, then, this is an easy discussion. It's over very quickly. You've banned me 8 times. Where's the evidence for that? Nowhere. Burden of proof does not apply on the internet. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. Can the dead keep their stuff if you don't take it? No. If you kill somebody, like you down them, that you send them packing, they get nothing. They got nothing at all. So, in 24 minutes we'll be switching gears and doing that. And you guys can unlock community game night for Saturday, and we'll be playing some arcraiders together if you guys do that. You did unlock tonight. So tonight will be my wife reacting to gaming news. It'll be a Halloween edition. We'll be wearing our costumes. And we will also be playing the Quarry. We'll come back here after trick-or-treating and have a good time with you guys. In the spirit of Operation Old Guy Making Friends on the Internet, you should run a defib to res people down by others. Oh, yeah, I should definitely always have a defib. But the problem is I wanted to run free kits for this. I don't want to go in and, like, risk my actual stuff. That's going to be the dilemma. I guess I could go in... No, the problem is if I go in with any of my stuff, I risk losing it. Like, there's going to be a potential pretty good fail rate with this experiment. People are just going to shoot you. They're like, no, man. They're like, there's a high likelihood of failure here. Could someone run with you be the medic? I suppose if there's someone coming in with us that doesn't mind risking their stuff, like if they're already super wealthy, yeah, we could have somebody running as the medic in Operation Friendship here. We could be like, listen, y'all, I've got a man here who can get you back up. Now, before he does that, I need a verbal contract with you. I'm gonna be like negotiating with people on the field. My man here wants to heal you. He wants to get you back up. He's kind of itching to do it, and I want him to do it. But you've got to give me your word that you're not gonna betray us. And if you do, you will be reported to the authorities. And who are those authorities? Me, as the president and CEO of Operation Friendship. It'll go on your permanent record. We got to reach an agreement here. That's right. This is gross. We might as well call this Operation Care Bear. I like Operation Care Bear more. Well, we didn't really talk about any of the other news today. We pretty much only talked about arcraiders. Checking the news feeds here. What other news was there? I mean, there was the reports about Xbox. I threw that in the thumb in the description just in case anybody wanted to talk about it. I really wasn't too keen to talk about it, so I left it there if people wanted to ask. The Redsec game came out. The Battlefield game. Checking the feeds now. It's pretty much all arcraiders. Battlefield has removed the Wicked Grin soldier skin from Battlefield 6 and Redsec after Reddit users claimed it looked non-realistic and was too bright. Yeah, I mean, this is just going to be an ongoing problem with Battlefield because I feel like they're really... At some level, I think you want to protect the identity of the game, but at another level, I wonder, are you really, kowtowing to a group of people that could be potentially, I don't know, hurting the game maybe? Color, bad. I think people are rightfully concerned that, like, they don't want the game to become, goofballville, and you got, like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and, Beavis and Butthead running around. I get it. I do. The Battlefield community gets it. I did see a clip of somebody saying that they thought the Battlefield community was like super casual and I thought that was interesting. Like, basically the argument was that they're so casual and they basically hate people that are better than them. And I find that to be a pretty... It felt like a pretty uncharitable characterization of... Oh, Nade Shot said that too. I didn't know that Nade said that. I feel like that's kind of an unfair characterization of the discussion because... What it feels like to me, and this is me looking from the outside, I'm not a part of the Battlefield community. I'm not a part of the COD community, so I don't have a dog in either fight. I don't have a side to take. But I'm just going to give you my observation from the outside. It seemed to me that a lot of the Call of Duty guys were wanting Battlefield to be more like Call of Duty. And a lot of the Battlefield guys were like, we don't want that over here. We don't want bunny hopping, G Fuel snorting, quick twitch behavior. It's annoying. We don't like it. If you want that, go play Call of Duty. I feel like, again, from the outside looking in, I feel like that response from the Battlefield community is being interpreted as you're bad and you can't get good and you don't like players being better than you. And I'm like, I feel like that's a pretty a pretty disingenuous read of the situation. Because the one clip in question, she said something to the effect of like, people want to just be a medic and run around and get heals, and essentially making it seem like that obviously doesn't take as much skill, right? You should, if you're not fragging out, you don't have a lot of skill. I think, to me, again, the difficulty with the situation is Battlefield is literally built around the idea of squad play, which doesn't inherently mean like you're a less skilled player. Like, would you say like a really, really good medic, a really good healer, I should say, like a really good healer in Overwatch or in Marvel Rivals, would you say they're a less skilled player? If you've ever watched like competitive Overwatch, would you be like, yeah, well, a really good healer, they suck. They're not a very good player. That's why they're running healer. Like, they're probably one of the most pivotal roles in the game, right? They're the difference between winning and losing sometimes. So you're looking at a game, Overwatch and Rivals. This idiot's comparing Battlefield with Overwatch and Rivals. I'm making a connection here. You have a game that's built around squad, collaborative, cooperative play, and then you would judge a particular role within that as being of lesser skill, and I would think that would be erroneous. So when you come to Battlefield, a game that is built around having like a medic and an engineer and like an assault class, you have these different classes that serve different purposes. To posture as if the one doing the healing is lesser skilled or not a good player or quote-unquote casual, to me, it's a fundamental misunderstanding of the genre and the game that Battlefield is. Battlefield is not this just run around and frag out game. It isn't. So what you're doing is you're taking skill in one game and you're attempting to view another game through that lens, and I believe that is being done in error. It's a different skill set altogether. Right, exactly. It's not the same. That's why I think the conversation, again, I'm looking from the outside here. I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm not trying to defend one game against the other. I feel like a particular game that has a particular skill set that you're very good at Call of Duty, if you're good at this skill set, that skill set doesn't exactly land in Battlefield. And so people were trying to like bend the game to that skill set, and then they will sort of be, they'll be condescending and look down on people that are like running medic as if that's not, that's a low skilled player, that's a casual player. It's like, I don't feel like you're engaging with the game as it exists. I don't feel like you're engaging with the game as it exists within its genre and category. You're acting as though that player's bad because they're playing that way. And it's like, you would never say that about a healer in Overwatch. You just wouldn't. Conversely, the people that want to act like, well, it takes more skill to play Battlefield because you need more situational awareness and teamwork and blah, blah, blah. I feel like both games take their own version of skill. One is not superior to the other, and neither should be essentially judging the other game against the backdrop of that game. Like, you shouldn't be judging Call of Duty against the backdrop of Battlefield, and conversely, you shouldn't be judging Battlefield against the backdrop of Call of Duty. They're different games that require different skill. It's funny because people do that with Overwatch 2. I would find that to be an erroneous way of arguing. If you've ever watched competitive and there's people that have particular roles, the healer is very important. And that your healer is not like, oh yeah, they're like low skilled, they're casual. No, I know you agree with me, Ruku. You're basically saying it's funny because people make the same bad, argument about Overwatch. So I think that's the general problem, is that if you come to Battlefield and judge it and critique it within its genre and within its category, within how it has been built, do you know what I'm saying? Like, you would never be like, oh, somebody running medic in Battlefield's doing so because they're casual or lack skill. And it's like, no, I don't think that that's true. You're projecting onto them a judgment that only works within a different game. Like, that would only work within like a game. Like, you're judging it as if it's Call of Duty, and it's not. So from the outside looking in, I feel like that's why both communities are very much just like ships passing in the night. They're not really having a conversation. Now it's just kind of turning a little toxic. It's like, well, we're going to act like that community's casual and that community doesn't like high-skilled players. And it's like, no, I don't think that's the case at all. I don't think they want that type of meta and gameplay to come into their game, because that's not what Battlefield is meant to be. It's a very different game type. It would be like somebody playing a fighting game and criticizing it and wanting it to be easy to just do, like, you know, spam one attack or something. Like, they want it to be like a button masher. You know what I mean? They're coming from like a very casual brawler, and they want this fighting game to be like that. Well, it would be fair for somebody to say, well, that's not really what this game is supposed to be about. It feels like a pastor goes to a Hindu festival and calls it unchristian. It's a feature, not a bug. Exactly. It would be like watching a romantic comedy and being like, this is boring. There's not enough blood, guts, and explosions. There's not enough actions. It'd be like watching a zombie movie and being like, there's not, you know, a really, really good subplot here of romance. It would be like, wait, what? Like, why would you expect that to be here? I think people, you know, in this conversation have been coming to Battlefield and they've been judging it against expectations that don't align with the game that they built. And then they judge the people within that system as if they're casual and lack skill. And it's like, I think the whole thing is, at some level, it's somewhat of a waste of time, because both games can have their approach and their aims and their way of doing things. Neither game has to be, you know, like the other. And then you get warm bodies. Right. That's right. I wish Battlefield had solos for BR. It's really hard for me to learn the map with someone else with me. I learn better when I'm by myself and I'm just roaming and trying to learn every nook and cranny of the map. Yeah, the problem with expecting a Battlefield Battle Royale to, you know, to do that. Like, they really need this squad element to be a part of the identity, you know? They have a BR mode with bots in training. Oh, wait, they have something where you can do that? Well, what is it called? Tell him what he could do. I swear Battlefield 6 has skill-based matchmaking. I don't care if people say they don't. The past 40 games I've played have been one-sided. I think it's difficult with skill-based matchmaking after all the years that we've all kind of experienced it and, you know, dealt with it. I think it's difficulty. It's kind of like when you've been playing games for a long time and it's very, very easy to feel like everybody's cheating, right? Because there's so much cheating going on. It can be very easy to feel like everybody's cheating. Sometimes I wonder with skill-based matchmaking, like, have we experienced skill-based matchmaking so much that now, the minute they turn the heat up, or the minute you get into games where the heat's turning up, you just assume that the game's doing it. It's like, yeah, you're just putting me in a sweat box. You know? I definitely felt that way the last time I played Battlefield with y'all. I felt like I had a good game, and then all of a sudden, I was in a sweat box. And it was like, well, this isn't fun. And some of that could have been, again, because we pulled in somebody... we pulled in somebody who was on PC, which could have been part of the issue. Look, we suddenly were in PC land. I hate that some weekly missions have to be in the BR, even after rerolls. Some people have expressed frustration with that they don't like that they're being required to go into the BR to do stuff. I think that's fair as a criticism. Like, if you bought Battlefield 6 for Battlefield 6, you know, and you don't have any interest in the BR, I think it's totally fair to be like, why are you making me do this? I think it's a very fair expectation. To be like, I should be able to do everything inside of BF6. Like, that's what you bought. That's what you downloaded. You know, that's what you're trying to play. It's like Destiny forcing into Crucible. No. That's a little bit different because you bought Destiny, and Destiny came with Crucible and Gambit, and they put loot and bounties and things within those games. This is a game that you bought at full price, and you're enjoying it, and then they bring out this other adjacent free thing, and they're like, yeah, you got to go do that if you want to get this thing done over here. And it's like, wait, what? I don't think it's fair to invoke Destiny as much, because I feel like with Destiny, you bought that as a whole package. Like, if Battlefield 6 was like, you need to go into this game mode over here in Battlefield 6 to get this thing, and you're like, I don't really like that game mode, but you'd probably be like, okay, let me go do it for a while. They're basically like, I need you to download this completely separate free-to-play thing. It's a Battle Royale, so it has a completely different vibe. Like, it's not even the same. You know, I get people's frustration. I think their frustration is somewhat legitimate. So. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take a quick break, and you might get, like, an ad or something. Sometimes that pops up when I take a break. Sometimes it doesn't. Make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel. Make sure you've hit the like button. Likes have been a little bit light today, so let's try to bump that number up. We're going to switch to a new stream, though. We're going to be playing some arcraiders. We're going to be doing Operation Friendship. Now, if you play with me, you got to use game chat and have it set for push to talk on proximity chat, so that you push to talk it. You don't want to toggle it and forget that it's on. And we'll be doing that in just a minute, okay? So get ready for that. And we'll obviously have the goal still running, and we'll allow 50 bombs to determine betrayals, but that's it. It's gonna be, we're not gonna allow that without somebody really going crazy. Okay, so I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Okay. All right. I didn't want to boot up the game just yet because I didn't want the guy I played with yesterday to like see me on and like send an invite and think I'm ignoring him. Okay. What am I doing? What am I opening? I'm trying to remember what I'm doing. Oh, I know what I'm doing. Okay. All right. All right, sending the tweets out. Did my app? No, it didn't. Okay. Okay, we'll repost that. Arcraiders just dropped their roadmap. Wait, are you serious? Like, they just, like, tweeted it out? Before we switch gears here, we could take a look at it. Okay. Here's a look at what's coming for the future of arcraiders. Okay. Ongoing new map conditions, new feats and trials, new cosmetics, quality of life updates, and more. In November, new map, community unlock event, new arc, new gameplay items, new quests. See what I'm saying? It's an this a PvE. It's a lot of PvE focus. December, Snowfall map condition, Flickering Flames event, Expedition departure window, new Raider deck, new quests, and more. I don't know, man. Seems like an awful lot of PvE focused stuff. They can add unlimited arc. I said that was like their secret weapon because it kind of lets them do like the Helldivers thing. You know what I mean? There's always something that they can do. Okay. Let's get in the game. And then I'm going to give you guys a link on YouTube in just a second. Do me a favor, and when we get over to the new stream, try to go crazy with the like count. We've been having to do all of the legwork with these streams lately. We've been having to do the likes and the member pushes and all of that. It's very much something that we've had to own. So help us with that when we go to the new stream. Okay. All right. I'm going to put a link in chat. Come over, hang out. If you want to play, you got to add me as a friend, and you got to abide by the rules of Operation Friendship, okay? All right, here we go. All right, thanks so much for checking out this video. If you're watching this later and you're like, what the heck is Operation Friendship? It is my goal and aim when playing arcraiders to go in and use prox chat to make friends. Anybody from my community that joins me and plays me, the rules of Operation Friendship are very simple. We are not allowed to initiate hostile activity. Now, we can defend ourselves if people are shooting at us and won't talk, but our attempt is to go in and make friends. Now, in order to keep risk down and keep the fun factor high, I'll be running free kits. If people come with me don't want to run free kits, they want to bring like defib to like get up somebody to help them or whatever, we can do that. I'm going to end the previous stream and redirect folks over. We had a Q